Down where the cypress meets the sky, where the Spanish moss hangs low, the gators drift through black water streams where only the old folks go. Every trail tells a whispered tale, every breeze carries a name of a giant shape in the palm meadows that vanishes just the same. He's the shadow of the cypress, the ghost of the Everglades, walking where the moonlight dances through the sawgrass and the shades. Some call him legend, some call him myth, but the swamp still keeps his claim. If you listen when the night grows still, you'll hear the skunk ape's name. Boot prints deep in the muddy ground, too big for any man. A distant howl through the pines at dusk, no one can understand. Hunters stop and the crickets hush, even the owls grow still. Something ancient is watching back from beyond the cypress hill. He's the shadow of the cypress, the ghost of the Everglades, walking where the moonlight dances through the sawgrass and the shades. Some call him legend, some call him myth, but the swamp still keeps his claim. If you listen when the night grows still, you'll hear the skunk ape's name. Maybe he's the last of a forgotten time, maybe he's just passing through. Garden secrets a swamp won't tell, hidden from me and you. No photograph can hold the truth, no headline ends the chase. The mystery lives in every trail and every wild forgotten place. He's a shadow of the cypress, the spirit of the southern wild, older than the roads we travel, untamed since nature's smile. So raise a light and walk with care, respect the ancient game, where somewhere deep in Florida's heart still walks the skunk ape's name.
All right. What's up, Frank? How you doing, buddy?
It's been a little bit of a week, but what's going on with you?
Not too much. Not too much. Good week. You know, pretty slow. I like that. Nice and quiet. Get some things done. So
We we've had
we
a
had a pretty good weekend last weekend.
yeah, yeah. Got to go out there and see part of your spot. It was nice. Nice area, very clean, very remote.
So what? Yeah,
What's that?
it's a good area. I like it. It's very quiet. I
I
think we have some lag going on right now. Hopefully it'll clear up here in a minute.
Yeah, it's storming. Uh, no, I think what I really liked the most about it was the fact that it's easy accessible, but very remote. Like anybody who's been to Mayaka, uh, Mayaka gets a lot of talk, but anybody who's ever been inside Mayaka knows that there's a lot of traffic in there. There's just lots of people,
Yeah.
and I get that one is on one side of it for the most part, but that's what I really liked about yours is you don't see a lot of foot traffic, and obviously they had cameras and stuff up that looked like they were tracking wildlife, or trying to see maybe like what we talked about, possibly trying to catch a panther. But you don't, we never, I think we found one, we walked probably about 5 miles or so, and we found one individual human boot print. And so you didn't really see a lot of foot traffic. And I, I like that just for the fact that it's set up enough to where there's wildlife in there, and maybe they come out a little, they feel a little less threatened in there, maybe, because me and you've had the conversation about Mayaka, that we think that as many reports as in Mayaka, uh, we kind of think that they're outside of there and kind of go in, but it's hard to say. But I do like your spot.
Yeah, and when I brought you in, we started at one end and drove all the way down to the area that we were going to actually access. It's a pretty big area, and
Yeah.
we hiked a pretty good ways and never did get to the back side of it. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah. Yeah.
And as long as I've been out there, I don't think I might at best maybe 10% of that area I've been in. You know what I mean? I mean
I don't think
it's really large.
right, but I'm saying as far as like we found the geocache, so obviously somebody comes in there, but they ain't nobody. I mean, I guess I'd have to see the stuff on it, but uh, I think the only people that I'd say the forest rangers are probably in there more than people. Uh, but even then, it don't look like there's a lot of traffic. Uh, so
Well,
that's
yeah, and that's what I told you is many times as I've been out there, I can count on one hand when I've come across somebody.
right.
And there was that one area you saw that parking lot. It's a
Hmm.
small parking lot that's brand new,
Right.
and there was only one car in there when we went by the first time, and then when we were leaving, there was only two cars in it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's the main area where it's a really pretty area, a nice little hiking path around a lake,
Right.
or
That
large
pond.
pond or whatever you want to call it. There's a lake in there, and so people pretty much stick there.
Hmm.
When they are in there. There's another area where they put in a like an off-road bike path,
Hmm.
with little loops. They can do all this stuff, but I've never seen anybody use it ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
But there's somebody in at the forest rangers is probably who it is, because the cameras and stuff that we found, and but it's, to me, it's got everything you need for activity. And I know you mentioned you've had activity and stuff out there, but I think it would be a great spot. We talked about, where I told you, man, I'd like to go set up a bunch of audio around through there, just because
yeah,
I bet it's, with the lack of people in there, uh, that'd be interesting, you know.
yeah. If you ever want to get together and do that, I have the perfect area. It won't be that area you went into. I just wanted to walk that area, familiarize myself. Which
Right.
it started out in an area where the person had the sighting and sent the picture.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, granted, I walked it, but it's hard to tell. Okay, exactly where this picture was taken. But so we walked it and everything. Didn't hear much. We did have a smell. There was
Yeah.
a smell,
Yeah.
a moment where we had a smell. Don't know what it was. We'll talk about that in a minute. But that trail ended up connecting to a trail that I did know, and then we ended
Mm.
up taking that one pretty far back. So that particular gate, evidently, that one specific trail at that gate isn't that long. Maybe it was I don't know, 3/4 of a mile, half a mile,
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
But they had graded it, so I think they do that to prevent forest fires and stuff like that. Um, so it was difficult to walk because it was sand. You know what I mean? But
Right.
once we got into the regular areas, it was a lot easier to walk because it's got grass grown over it.
Yeah. Uh, have you been down all the gates? individually, or?
No, I've only been to maybe 5 or 6 out of the 9.
Okay.
There are some that I have not gone into. Now, when I say I've gone in them, sometimes it's just a quick. Let
Yes.
me check this
Right.
out real fast. I didn't go like as far back and really delve into it. I just walked back there to give me an idea of what that area, may bring and stuff like that. I
Right.
have my favorite that I've been to a lot. I like that area better.
Right.
It's huge, and I know it fairly well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm confident when I go in there I don't get lost. The other
Right.
areas, it can get confusing, but what that's the area we'll
Well,
go to next time. And next time, well, and like we said, with the e-bikes would work out great out there because the
yeah.
paths are kept up pretty nice. That
Yeah.
you won't be doing any kind of heavy off-roading or anything like that on the bikes. And the
Right.
bikes would help because if you want to set up equipment and stuff like that, I
Yep.
know the perfect area, and we can get back there quick. It's a ride. It's still a
Right.
ride, but we can
Right.
get back there quicker, set up and stuff like that. And I think you'll like it a lot. You'll like that
Yeah.
area a whole lot.
It would be perfect for the e-bikes. Like you said, that'd be perfect for trying to get in there. And because, it is, you do have to hike quite a bit of ways. Uh, but the saving on time and stuff, and that'd be great. But yeah, I'm excited to be able to go to that one. I know you've flown a drone in there before, and what looks like to me, there's a lot of woods on each side, but I really like the area. And when I say the foot traffic and thing, like I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I'm saying that as
Right.
a great thing. Uh,
Oh yeah. Well, they're
you
not
know,
pressured.
right. And I mean, and one of the things is me being someone who gets out in the woods a lot. I really love the fact that you didn't find a lot of trash. You know,
Yeah.
no trash. It ain't like people are coming in there and just throwing crap around like you see everywhere else. Which makes me, it just makes me start thinking. It's like, since it is remote, we obviously caught a couple people riding bikes, which very few. Uh, it makes me think, would they be more likely to come in hoping that somebody drops something? Because you do have your occasional biker, here and there, but it's nowhere near the level uh, that we see in most places, nowadays.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, and those bikers were on the main road
right,
that parallels the preserve.
right.
They were on a main road. They
They're
didn't
not
enter
inside the
the
place, right? But I'm
right.
saying, as few. It just makes me think, man, would they come out? Be more likely to come out just searching because it's very, very thick, and I feel like almost like it would be like a crossing. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like if they're going
Well,
somewhere.
that's a good point because that's what I think.
Right.
Because the preserve where it ends,
And I'm trying
then
to be
there's
careful of how I explain stuff because I know people try to pick up on the
yeah,
air
the
stuff. But
preserve is in one area, and then there's nothing but then it ends, and then there's nothing but forest
hmm
that butts right up to a state park. See
right,
what I'm saying? And there's
right.
been sightings in the state park. So
hmm
I think it's the same one or same couple or
Family,
whatever that's transferring back and forth. And I
right,
think that when in my research area, if I have any kind of audio or anything that I capture, especially in the past, it's because this thing has happened to move over to this side. It could be
right.
following food. Maybe it's trying to get maybe it's a time of year because
hmm
especially here in Florida during the winter months, all the northerns come down and they take up all the camping. You can't
Right,
camp anywhere because they got their campers everywhere,
right,
and that makes the state park kind of busy. So they may
right,
leave that area, come
right,
over to this area because there's no camping. You
right,
know what I mean? So
right.
it's one of
And
those
you're
things.
not
I think you hit it, huh?
right. Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like, the ones that come around here, like, it's not saying that they're not far from other campgrounds, but it's it's that's
But
all there
again, it
is.
falls into
So
what you're saying. It's on the
right,
outside.
right, right.
See what I'm saying?
That's
Because this
that's
preserve
what
would
I
be considered outside of that.
but that's what I was thinking when I was looking at some of that stuff. It's like, man, maybe this would be like a really good, maybe not per se right there because the cameras that we found in there, but somewhere along that road or somewhere in there
Right.
would, uh, and maybe that's why the cameras were there. You never know.
Well, again, like I said, when I researched that area a long time ago, I was able to talk to a lieutenant with FWC, and he was in, I believe it was Naples or Fort Myers. He was down in that area,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was acting stupid. I didn't tell him what I was doing or what I was planning on doing out there. I just wanted to find out more information.
Right.
And when he located that area on his computer, he said, "Yeah, that's classified as a biological research area."
Right.
And that's that. And like I told you, I said that. Oops, and I just hit this. Oh, there you go. That's really an open statement because when we talk about
Right.
biological, that can be a freaking earthworm all the way to a grizzly bear. You know what I mean? Biological is huge. It goes anywhere. So,
Right.
but we did find cameras. These are cameras I had not seen in the past, but again, that's a trail I'd never taken. Also, but I have found cameras in the past. We talked about that. Every one of the entrances had a sign that said that the area was monitored by cameras 24/7,
Right.
and which we thought was weird, because who's monitoring these cameras? You know what I mean?
Right.
Who is it that monitors these? And then all of a sudden one day the signs disappeared. There were no signs. They were
Mm-hmm.
they were all gone. The only sign left was the one that says you cannot discharge a firearm out there. It doesn't say you can't have a firearm. It just says you can't
Right.
discharge a firearm.
Right.
Basically saying no hunting. But the signs were gone. And I had made the comment to somebody. I said, well, that's either there's two things going on here. Either the cameras are gone and they're letting us know, hey, the cameras are gone, go about your way. Or they took the signs down, but the cameras are still there. They just don't want
Mm-hmm.
you to know it. And that
Right.
ended up being the case because it was after the signs were down, I started
Right.
finding these cameras. And
Yeah.
at that point, before this weekend, I found, I want to say 4 total, maybe 4. I'd have to really think about it. But we found, what, 2? At least we know of 2. Did we
And
find 3? I,
well, I remember you
I
was
think
telling me that I think you was telling me that there was one that used to be, like, these were low. So you were telling me, I think the ones that you had
right.
found were higher up. I don't think it was 3. I think we found 2. I think it might have been on the same trail, but they were both low. And these were the ones that, they put the metal box around, they put the cables
Right.
through. Like, if you try to steal these, you're going to have to work for it, or mess with
Yeah, and
these.
that's why, yeah, this is not somebody putting out their personal trail cam.
Yeah.
Like you said, they're in metal boxes with
Hmm.
locks and steel cable. So it's, yeah, like you said, you'd have
And
to work at it. You know what I mean?
yeah, and of course, people can buy that and do it, but 90% of the people don't. So I think that's more of the FWC or maybe their research stuff. It's definitely the
I
only
think
time. Uh, well, when I went to
because,
Bluff Creek, they had them on the trail going down into there, and they were set up just like that.
oh, okay.
Well, I'm
The
just saying, just like I'm saying, the same metal boxes and stuff like
Oh
that. But
yeah, and I'm pretty. I mean, I would do it if I didn't want bears to get a hold of my camera or something like that. But
what do you
like I
think?
said, it. Huh?
I was saying, like you said, most people, if it's not their camera, I don't personally do it, but I do know people that will go. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people that's like, oh yeah, I have a trail camera out there, and somebody stole it or they busted it
Yeah.
up, put the SIM card out of it or the batteries out of it, and so I get why, but a lot of people just don't go that far into it. Uh,
Right.
or normal hunters and stuff. They just kind of go put them up and take off.
Yeah, because when I put my cameras out there, and I have put cameras out there, I have to hide them. I have to put them in
Yeah,
areas that I know nobody's walking through here. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It's
yeah. And
yeah,
these were like out in your face. Uh,
and that's
I
the
mean,
first time
you would
because
have walked by them if you wasn't paying attention. You know what I mean?
right.
Like,
Well, the
uh,
first one I definitely would have walked by and not noticed it if I
right,
hadn't to happened to look down. And
right,
that, like I said, that was weird because they're only about a foot and a half off the ground. They're
right.
very low.
They're right beside the road, or well, the trail. They're right beside, maybe like a foot inside or off the trail or whatever. But like, it definitely looks like somebody's setting up for a cat. But the thing is, you don't know because uh, it could be anything. I've always said when I go out, think about where 90% of the time you see trail cameras, they're at least chest to head level. Uh, and I've always said, try to set them up low or try to set them up really, really high. Just as far as the Sasquatch world, just because obviously they're good at ducking them, but I just, everybody puts them at the same level. So I'm, try to think outside the box and maybe I got one that I want to do. Uh, I want to climb way up in top of a tree, but it has to be a certain tree that has, where you can see real good. But I want to go up because I can move the camera down and around and set it up where it's way up, but it's looking down. That's one of the things I've been wanting to do with the cameras that I've been getting. But uh, it was interesting, and I think you said that wasn't it a control burn?
Yeah, that
With
was the weird thing is when we first went in, and like I said, I've been going out there for years now, and that area that we first entered, that's the area I mainly like to go into,
right,
um, and that was the only area that was control
burn,
burned.
yeah, and it
You
wasn't. It
know,
was a section. It wasn't like they burnt that whole area. It was a certain
it was
section.
it was one section, yeah, and
Yeah,
everywhere we went, there was no other burns, nowhere else. You
right.
know, why would they pick that area over
And
any other
I
area? You
I
know.
could be mistaken, but I think didn't you say that they used to have cameras in there, or they did have cameras in there?
Yep, that's the area where I found two or three two at least. One I know of for sure, but
Hmm.
the last time I went out there, it was finally gone.
Well,
Um,
you mentioned the biological research area, and the reason that interested me, uh, you know, I had talked to a guy. I was in North Carolina or South Carolina on an expedition. I talked to a guy in North Carolina that wanted me to come up and see his area, so I went up there. As I was talking to him, and I didn't know this, and I've lived in Homestead for 12, going on 13 years, something like that. And I've never heard this outside of him. Uh, but he told me they had a secret, and the only reason he knew about it, he said his daughter worked at it. Gorilla. Uh, I don't know if it was like a clinic, but I think it was like a gorilla research area, or not. It's I guess, an experimental lab on them for gorillas here in Homestead, and I didn't know that. And if I'm wrong, or if anybody knows, correct me or give me some info about it. But he said his daughter has worked there for a couple years. I don't know if she moved on or not, but he didn't exactly say what they did, but he said that he hinted around like it would be if they wanted to like cross species, and people like say somebody wanted them to pay them a lot of money to see if this would work.
right.
And whether that's true or not, I don't know. I've
Keep
never
going.
heard it.
I'm here. I just got to get a water real quick. Keep going.
Yeah, good. I just, if anybody does know about it, I would like to know, just because I've been down here for 12 years, 13, something like that, and I've never heard nothing about it. And I never even thought to even look for nothing. You don't see nothing about it, but he was naming roads and stuff that I knew. So, but it wouldn't surprise me either. The place up in Central Florida that was Squatching, Florida, that I've been out with. One of the places up there, we found caves and stuff like that. Me and my buddy, was sitting down, and this dude walked in and was talking about a cave. And when we went over in that area, there was a guy, I think was a guard or something, or FWC maybe. Uh, he said that the reason they keep people out there, because you find some of these spots that were caves and they got it fenced off, and it's supposed to be like an endangered bat or something. But the guy that walked in there, and you could tell he was like a survivalist. He reminded, this was just some random guy that came in to the camp, and he said when he threw his rope, and I think I explained it on one of the podcasts before, he threw his rope down because he likes to kayak, and they find like rough water waves and cave dive and stuff like that. And when he said he threw his rope down, when his rope hit, he said it was about a 30-40 foot drop. They were going to rappel down to that and go in. And as soon as his rope hit, he said something growled / screamed at him in a guttural. And we, like I said, we didn't have anything Bigfoot related. He didn't know we were there for that. Nothing would have said we were there for that other than just looked like two dudes camping. And he was like sort of hesitant at first to bring it up, but he was kind of insinuating, or how like we do sometimes when you first get into it. It's like you're kind of careful who you do talk to about it, because they're going to call you crazy and the conversation's over. And
right.
so he was kind of like floating it out there a little bit. So I kind of just said it, and that's what he ended up saying he thought. But like I said, the next day we went up there, and that's when we seen and walked into these places where these caves were, and they had fenced off. And then we ran into an FWC guy, and he was saying that it was like endangered bats and stuff. But it was like, not to say that they're not there, but it's like, it's funny that a lot of these places like that are research areas, or something's endangered, and they got a way of trying to block things off. And whether that's coincidence or purposely done, is who's to say. Never gonna get the answer to it. But I wonder, have you ever heard anything about the homestead gorilla? And I need to probably look it up as far as like computer wise and stuff, but I don't know if they would say it.
Yeah, because I do research a lot on gorillas, and because it's the closest thing that we have to compare what we're looking for. It really is the closest thing as far as behavior or anything like that. And also bears. I mean, you know, bears have prominently been, you know, kind of smashed in there with Sasquatch. Either some people claiming that, oh, you saw a bear, you didn't see a Bigfoot, or they talk about the migration areas of bears coincide with sightings of Sasquatch, stuff like that. So when you're a researcher or an investigator, you know, and I have a lot of time to sit down and go on and just start doing deep dives into these things. And so you have to look at those two particular animals because, again, they're the closest thing that we have, and they're large animals. So we want to compare Bigfoot to something else that's large that, you know, goes into an area.
You always have them talking about, oh, they eat the same stuff, you know, things like that. Yeah, well, that's why I've been reading that one, the Otzman book. I've been reading that. That's one of the main things in that book that gave him a lot of credit, was because when he described the head, the Saniel crest and all that stuff, he had no knowledge of gorillas really at that time. You know, it was like 1994. And that's why when he talked about them describing it, and then later on when they was showing in the studies or whatever of gorillas, that's he got a lot of credibility due to the sagittal crest.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is when people, it's really funny because you got that side of researchers and or whoever in the Bigfoot area that when you use the term primate, they get upset. It's not a primate. It's not.
It's
Well,
like,
even humans are primates. Come on now,
right.
let's open up the book on here. But the bottom line is, if you describe something,
Yeah.
you're literally describing a primate. You are
Right.
describing a Bigfoot because if you go and you look at a gorilla, for example, it's got the conical head.
Mm-hmm.
It's the muscular structure, the short but thick hair, longer arms and then legs, can
Right.
walk bipedal. I mean, there's so many similarities to the two. That's why when I do a lot of research and I look at things, I look at those behaviors. See what I'm
Right.
saying? Because I've talked to a lot of researchers and even John A. Two Bear stuff like that. We really believe in that the behavior is really what we need to start focusing on because if we understand the behavior more, it might open up the opportunity to see the things more.
Right.
We kind of pick up patterns, time of seasons and different things like that, time of night or something like that, you pick up patterns, but behavior is keen. And that's what I wanted to get into tonight because, we didn't have a guest and I wanted to get into some discussions. And what my discussion was going to be on family units with Sasquatch. You know what I mean? Because you hear about these people talking about family units or family groups. I go out there and there's they always talk about these family groups. And so I look into those things because I mean that's huge. I mean a family group is huge.
Right.
But let's look at the evidence of family groups is what I want to delve into because if there are family groups that are doing this, that there's going to be very, very, very keen signs of a family unit of Sasquatch because they're very large animals. We're talking something 500-800 pounds, maybe even more. Who knows?
Right.
So when you look at gorillas, okay, for example, anybody goes online and starts researching gorillas and different chimpanzees, anything is Jane Goodall and all these different people. When you find these family groups of gorillas, they stick together. I mean, they're around each other all the time. The males don't disappear for days or weeks on end and come back. They're very protective of their family unit, their tribe, their women, their and stuff like that. So they're there to protect them. So they're always there. They also dictate where they're going and when they're going. When the male just stands up and starts walking away, everybody goes with him. See what I'm saying? But the thing that really caught my interest was the devastation of the terrain that they're in. See what I'm saying? When they're all in an area, everything is pushed down. They're eating everything, all the vines and branches around them. They're pushing everything down. They're making their nest. It's pretty devastating to an area. You know what I mean?
It'd be like if you found like a big herd of elk bedding down. Like it's. I've seen those on top of the mountain, and I mean, everything is flat, and so it'd be about because typically you're talking about almost the same size and weight. These honestly. When you said 500 to 800, you're saying that kind of as a minimum because, some people see these things way bigger and, you take the elk and moose, it would be like along the damage of that. You know what I mean? It's what you're.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You can look at a cow. There's a regular, cow. You stand a cow on her hind legs, if she could, stand straight up erect, she'd be 10 feet. Yeah. She'd be close to 8 to 10 feet, and easy. They weigh 1,200 pounds easy. 1,200 easy pounds. And they eat nothing but grass.
You imagine one of them big Brahma bulls like that, like. Well,
and and you're talking about an animal that's 100% vegetarian. Same with
mhm,
gorillas. Gorillas are 100% vegetarian. Okay,
right.
and that's why they devastate these areas and they push them down. They make their nests. Their young are swinging from the branches and breaking them and all this, you know. And
Hmm.
then they move on. Once they've been in an area for a while, they've used the resources. They move on. That group, that family group, moves on to another area.
Right.
That's where I start looking at things, going, we're not seeing that.
Right.
We don't see that evidence of these family groups and this devastation and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So I mean, and this is something I've been working on for a while and looking at. And again, these are just theories. I'm no expert and stuff like that, but I try
Right.
to come up with theories that actually make sense, that
Right.
actually are logical.
Right.
Because I look at the evidence. That's what I'm looking at. Is I'm looking at all the evidence that's sent to me, or I see on online, or people, other researchers share with me. We look at all this research, and it's pretty common. There's a theme. I mean, it's pretty common. Everybody's getting pretty much the same things, but we're not getting that devastation of these family units. But you hear about these people. Oh, there was a family unit, and there was blah blah blah. Here's and this is my theory, and then we can go into it, and you can tell me what you think.
Okay.
Um, because we're not seeing it, and we really don't. How many um, times have read a report or saw a report or anything like that? It's a unit. You see a alpha male, alpha female, um, maybe
Yeah.
teenagers or whatever, or at least a couple young.
Right.
So let's say 3 to 4 all at one time.
Hmm.
Very rare. Very
Right.
rare. It's
Yeah.
always one. And if you see multiple, it's always one and a young or something like that. But it's never more than two. You know, um, that people are catching these glimpses
Most.
of and stuff like
Right.
that. A
Yeah.
lot of people say that, well, there was multiple because I was being followed out. My very first encounter, I believe there were two. I believe one was at my 7 o'clock and one was at my 5 o'clock, following me out. Okay, that doesn't mean it's a family unit. See what I'm saying? What
Hmm.
I'm now Here's where my theory is because we're not seeing this devastation, these huge. Now there's been. Now I'm not saying there hasn't been nesting areas. There are nesting areas.
Right.
Um, they have been found. I found some nests and stuff like that, or supposed nests. But
Hmm.
I've seen some documentaries where they found areas where there's multiple nests in one area. Um, but it's not a devastated area. See what I'm saying? It's not. You know what I mean? They were hidden. You had to find the nests.
Right.
So here's my theory: is I think they come together as a family unit momentarily, just for a short period of time for procreation. The male is out there, he's looking, he's sending out the hormone smell and says, "Hey, I'm ready to go, ladies." He hooks up with a female Sasquatch. I think they might be together for a couple of days, maybe a week. I don't know, long enough to procreate in enough time to confirm that he's done his duty and there's a likelihood that she's pregnant. I think at
Right.
that point they separate, and he goes back to doing his thing and probably trying to find another female because it's all about the species. A buck has numerous does that he's gonna
Yeah.
inseminate throughout the
Right.
season. See what I'm
Right.
saying? So I think that that's what the Sasquatch would have to do to maintain any kind of population. Now, once the female is done with him, she's moved on, and then she will go through the gestation period. She will give birth, and she will raise this thing by herself. See what I'm saying? If you happen to see her, a baby, and a male, if that ever happens, maybe because that infant has grown up enough, she's already ready to procreate again. He's Another one's found her, and they're going through those days again where she's you know having fun time with her male counterpart. But again, once it's over, he's going to move on and she's going to move on. And the reason I say this is that's where safety is at. That's where you're protected, because
Right.
if you're in giant family groups, you're going to be seen. We're going to find you.
Right.
You're in danger by being in large groups. That's how gorillas were found, because they were in large groups. But by
Yeah.
doing it this way, where the male goes off and she goes off and stuff like that, they can hide, they can do things, um, and they're smaller numbers. See what I'm saying? And I
Right.
use that analogy because bears do that. A male bear does not attach himself to a female bear and his cubs and go around hanging out for who knows how long. See what I'm saying? The male
Right.
procreates and he moves on. Matter of fact, if later down the road he comes across his own young, he'll kill them. See what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
An adult bear will kill his own young. So,
Well, lions,
and
lions are
and the what's that?
like a lot of big cats will do the same thing, because they don't want the competition of males. So they'll go around and impregnate. But if they catch the mommy gone and the baby's there, they'll kill. You know what I mean? Like, not to say that Bigfoots and stuff would, but I'm just saying, a lot of the bigger a lot of the bigger carnivores, that's, it's a fight for survival. So that's what they do.
Right.
Uh, but yeah, go ahead,
Because
keep
it's
going.
especially like I said, if you're in smaller groups, like I said with bears, they once she's impregnated, she's going to go about her business, and then she's going to give birth. She's going to raise them. She's going to
Mhm.
protect them. She's going to protect them from males. She's going to protect, and stuff like that. You always see the mom with the cubs.
Right.
Always. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that's the same instance that we'll run into with the Sasquatch is she's on her own. She's raising them. She's taking care of them. And then once
Right.
they get to a certain age, they will break off and do their own thing. Because, like I said, when you spread out by yourself, it's a lot safer for the species. You know what I mean? Like I said, if you're in large groups and stuff like that, it's a lot easier to get caught. And one thing I learned while I was researching all this, and I did not know this, um, was that the female bear can also give birth during hibernation. While
Mm.
she's hibernating, she can give birth, and they will automatically they come out, they suckle, she's stored up enough and stuff like that, and then at some point during hibernation, she will wake up in the middle of winter and go out for it. They say it's just for a couple of days, looking for food, looking for substance, whatever. She'll go back into her den and continue her hibernation. She'll go back into hibernation again. Those are things I did not know. That they can come out of hibernation and then go back into it and give birth while they're hibernating. Um,
Yeah. Well, and yeah, I didn't know that neither. Which I've not really studied much on bears other than just their scents. Uh, but keep going. That way I can take it all in before I. That way I know. So you think that they're not in big groups, and if it is, it's probably a mother and a juvenile, and the dad. I kind of see that too. Uh, and honestly, though, it's weird because you know I've seen some videos and like the four that's hunting the buffalo. Whether that's I don't know if that's fake or not, but you hear people saying that they act like the Indians and they got like a hunting crowd, and that's more of the northwest part. But I think, and it's funny because I'm reading this book about a dude that got kidnapped and took to their lair. And what he describes was that they acted more like a family unit. He said, and the only reason I'm not disagreeing with you at all, because I do think that, but I also think that if they are in bigger family groups, they're in such remote places that we're not just getting to. You know what I mean? Yeah, you may fly over it because the way Otzman describes, he said that he was already 10 days in on this island and it was really super rugged. When he gets captured, this thing, they obviously walk faster than we do. He said it carried him up a mountain for 3 hours before it set him down. And when it set him down, obviously there was the female, but it was in a cave, and he said that everything was like structured. It was like a hidden cave with 8 to 10 acres that was kind of like a V formation, and they so like no one's going to, and it was kind of hidden away, and obviously they're going to go into the, he said most of the time, it was almost like each of them had their own chores. There was a mother and like a teenage son and a younger female. And he said that the younger ones were more shy. The older, but none of them, they let him do what he wanted. Like they didn't sit there and keep tabs on him like a prisoner. But he said what he noticed was they were always set up in a spot where they could see things coming, like the dad was set up. So it's like when he was trying to plot his escape, he was trying to figure out them and see what they were doing. So the only reason I say that is I don't think that there's big herds of them, maybe in crossing, or maybe one stumbles on another one's territory or something like that. But gorillas are pretty family orientated. You know what I mean? They're
Well, they have a pack mentality. Same with chimpanzees,
well,
and they work together as a unit.
And baboons,
You know,
chimps and baboons, like
hmm
baboons are always in big groups. But if we're looking at something that most people describe as more human, I mean, the same with us. Like, yeah, we're social, but a lot of us like being alone. Like our kids go off. So I would imagine that they're very small groups, but strategically placed in a sense. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like they're not herding around
Like
like
I said, yeah, and I agree, I do, and I think that, like I said, I think they do come together, but I
right.
think it's for a purpose and for
Well,
a short time. It could be, like I said, I don't know the length of
food,
time. It could be 3 days, a week. It could be a month.
right,
Um, but I think at that point they
right.
separate. I think
Well,
they you
I
know.
think it's like when the food, like because like I was telling you before, I've been reading books about trying to learn like what plants are in what region at what time of year and stuff like that. So during those times of years, I think that uh, I think that they probably come together, they eat, they scavenge, and then they go their separate ways. But I don't think that they're very far from each other. I think that
Yeah.
there's distance between them. Like I don't think they all sleep in a huddle, but I think that there's family groups that are somewhat close, but not close enough where you're gonna you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because a lot, like I said, other than I only know of really one time on one video, and it was really good, really good. It wasn't just a video; it was a documentary, and they had found this nesting area,
Yeah.
and I think it was about 8 nests they
Mm,
found in this one area on a hill, so it overlooked.
right.
They could see things and stuff like that. And there was multiple.
Right.
One time I've ever seen that. And but as much as I've been in the woods, as much as you've been in the woods, as much as the
I'm,
different
I,
states and stuff we go to, and I found a nest. See what I'm saying? So that would tell me it would be an individual. You know what I mean? I'm not finding this, like I said, like
like
apes, where the whole area has been decimated due
yeah.
to nesting, due to feeding, because I do believe these things also eat plants. I mean, we're fooling ourselves if they're strictly meat. I think anybody who believes they're strictly meat. I just don't buy that. I think they take advantage of whatever is
Right.
edible in that
Well,
season. And
and also that's again why I was going to that book because I think us as humans have fell so far away. Not every one of us, but our lack of knowledge in plants and
mhm,
what we could live on and stuff like uh, I think when I went out to Mayaka that time, there was a guy. I think they're called botanists, maybe, where
Uh-huh.
they.
Yeah.
Uh, but I loved walking around with him. He was an older man. He's always traveling. He just got back from the Netherlands that night. Like he's what you think of a botanist or just somebody that, he's an older rugged man in jeans and stuff, and he's got an old hiking stick and you know. But when you walk around with him, when you stop and take a break, he'll start pointing out plants and say, "Oh, you could do this, and this is for that." And I think our lack of knowledge in that is so bad nowadays, uh, that we don't understand. Uh, I think our knowledge and their knowledge at one point we were a lot closer together. You know what I mean? Because think about back in the day, most people were living off the land and everything. I
Yeah,
think
I mean, yeah,
humans
I agree. I mean,
that,
I think
that
we learned it mostly from Native Americans.
well, right. But what I'm saying is, the fact of it is it's out there, and we don't know enough about it now. If we would follow those things and follow what we think, because that's what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you learn those patterns. That's probably where you're gonna end up setting up because think. And I've said it before. When we go out in the woods, we're only seeing a small part. It ain't like we're sitting there making a grid and checking every little single area. You know what I mean? We're
Oh
walking
yeah. Yeah, because
and
it's like the guy you're talking about, the botanist. If I'm
yeah,
walking in the woods, I say, "Wow, this is a beautiful forest." A botanist walks through the woods and says, "Wow, this is a great menu. I could eat that. I could eat that." You know what I mean? They see
right,
things differently.
right. And that's why I was saying before. I was like, man, like I think as humans, if we're going to try to find this thing, and the fact is, like, and that's a question that I have too. Like, what is the fascination about trying to find this thing? Because for me, it's brought me. There's not a day that goes by that it's not on my mind at some point.
Right.
But what it's done for me is it's brought me back to nature about trying to learn about the woods, and it's like I know there's researchers out there that do it, but as me becoming a new researcher, you know, doing what you're doing, studying gorillas and researching this stuff, uh, that's kind of the things that we got to do. Like we have to study this stuff because our knowledge of that stuff is if these things have lived in these woods and ate as long as they have, and we're still
Yep.
trying to snap a picture. Obviously, as smart as we think we are, we're more of a technology based world now
Right.
versus back in the day when the Albert Otzmans, he's out in the woods and he knew, oh, I can go get this plant and do this and do that and live. We've gotten away from that. So I think getting back to that will help us get a more understanding of trying to put ourselves in the right place at the right time where we think, okay, well, this is there. Because
Well,
all the,
and that's a good point because I've made that point in the past because me and you
mm-hmm,
both look at things as hunters. You're actively still a hunter. I don't hunt anymore, but I was active for 30 years hunting,
right,
and and that's what it got me my very first encounter was
mm-hmm,
I'm going in when you're looking for deer. You just don't go into the woods, climb a tree, and wait. You
right,
have to research. You go out there. You're looking for game trails. You're looking for prints. When you look at prints, are they does? Are they bucks? What's going on?
mm-hmm,
You're looking for rubs. You're looking for scrapes. You're looking for berries, food sources. Food plot, anything like that. That
mm-hmm,
basically tells you this is a viable area. All the
right,
signs are here. This is
yep,
where I'm going to put up my tree. It's the
yep,
same in Bigfoot research. We go
yep,
into areas and we look at okay, what is plausible? Okay, we'll use my area as an example.
mm-hmm,
Plenty of cover. It's
yep,
thick. Anything out there can hide. It has different ecologies from pine forest to hardwood forest to
yeah,
cypress forest, cypress swamps. It has everything. There's
yep,
water sources. We know
yep,
there's food sources. There's hogs, squirrels, raccoons,
Yep.
Every animal Florida has is out there.
Yeah.
So
Fit.
it's yeah, it's a viable area.
Right.
So that's why you look at it and you go, okay, this is you know this is an area where I'm going to start doing some research. So once you find a viable area, now you start looking for signs.
Right.
Am I finding structures? Am I finding prints? Am I, you know, what are the things that are, I set out audio. Okay, now I'm getting some pretty good audio clues. I heard wood knocks. All this is anecdotal evidence that starts building it
Right.
just
Like,
starts accumulating to the point where you're like, okay, now I got to take this area serious. I got to hit it hard for a long time. You know
yep.
what I mean?
Well, and then taking that and then adding it to what you were talking about with like, are they in big groups and stuff? Like, that's an area that they could be if they wanted to be. You know what I mean? Because it's not got a lot of people in it. Uh, but you don't. That's not what you see. You know what I mean?
Mm-mm.
Like, that's why I think, uh, obviously they're as much as they're human and ape. Baboons travel in huge groups. Those monkeys up in Silver Springs, they're in huge groups. Uh, I have had reports that say that they resemble chimps. Like the one guy, he said he seen it, and
Uh-huh.
he said waddling, running like it was at like a 5 foot chimp. Uh, so you take all this stuff, and it's like we always get the 95% of the reports that you get is it had a human. It's more human than ape,
Mm-hmm.
and you get a percentage of the ones that no, it looked more ape than human. I've heard
Mm-hmm.
them say they look like gibbons. So when you look up, I started doing a gibbon call the last time I went out just because I'd read something where it said up in New York at one point or somewhere in the Northeast they had placed gibbons out in cages to call. That way it may bring them in. I don't know. We had activity that night. Whether it was
Right.
that, didn't tell you. That was the night that the eyes happened, and but you know, then you start getting decisive in, does it act more like an ape? You got the swaying, or a chimp. You got the swaying. We've had reports. Does it act more like a gorilla? Gorillas are. You read reports of where if somebody has had contact with one. Uh, I've read a bunch of reports. I've talked to people. They're never aggressive unless you've tried to
Mm-mm.
attack them. Think of the kid that fell in the gorilla cage. It went and picked him up and
Yep.
tried to take care of him. They
Well,
so
you watch it when you watch these documentaries, and trust me, I watch a lot, and
yeah,
on bears, on gorillas, and you have these researchers standing there, arm's length away from a gorilla, and a gorilla just walks right by them, and sometimes
yeah,
the gorilla will reach over and push them.
right,
See what I'm
yeah,
saying? Or grab hold
right,
of their wrist and drag them, but not trying
right,
to hurt them. And
right,
like they said, you don't fight them. You just go with the flow. Just let
yeah,
it do what it does, and he'll let
yeah,
you go and just keep on doing.
yeah,
A lot of guys, the research, I watch them when the gorilla comes by, they don't make eye contact. They look straight down. They just do this, and it
yeah.
walks right past them. See what I'm saying?
It'd be nerve wracking. I mean, it would be,
Oh yeah, and
but
gorilla's a big thing, man. It's
oh
muscular.
well. Well, they talked about. They said I read something where they said, you know, if you put a chimpanzee in a cage with a UFC fighter, who would win? And it's like, well, have you seen a chimpanzee when with no hair? I mean, they're
Yeah.
jacked.
They're jacked.
They're jacked.
Anybody in the audience, anybody watching the show, Google hairless chimp, and it will
Yeah,
blow your mind. They are
they
Arnold Schwarzenegger level ripped.
yeah, they're jacked, dude. And I think that their strength would it'd be increased. So forget even a gorilla. Uh, but when you try to look at all these stuff and you look at it as far as trying to see patterns of what you said with bears, uh, we heard from Marion a couple weeks back that bears don't growl. You know what I mean? They huff. So you have a lot of reports of hearing long growls uh, that people pass off as bears. I know these things get passed off as bears a lot, but we
I never
know.
buy that.
I don't either.
I mean, dude,
Person,
I see Bear driving to work.
yeah,
I got Bear in my neighborhood, and
right,
we have to worry about them every time we put trash out. And when it's
right,
garbage day, you have to put
yeah,
it out the morning of. You can't put it
right,
out the night before. You got to put it out the
right,
morning of. And we get
right,
new people or different people that don't know that, and they put the garbage out the night before. Well, the next morning they're out there picking up their garbage because this thing has come in.
right.
Um, Everybody, I don't care who you are. I can go to an elementary school and pull a kindergartner out, and he knows what a bear is. I
Right,
hate it when people say that. Well, you saw a bear. Dude,
right,
everybody knows what a bear looks like. And when you
right.
say you saw something and it was not a bear, it was different. See what I'm saying?
Look,
That's the key word. When they say it was different, it was different.
I'm
You
a
got to
I'm a
listen to them.
I'm a big Joe Rogan fan, but when he gets these people on there that talk to him about Bigfoot, and he says, "Dude, they're just looking at a friggin' bear. You know, a bear can stand on its hind legs and walk." I'm like, okay, there's a distinct walk when people see this thing. It's gliding. When a bear walks on its hind legs, it's not smooth at all. And very rarely, I mean, they'll stand up and scratch their back or they'll stand up and do stuff, but it's not a walk like what we're like a
No.
human. You know what I'm saying? So like you can't tell me that you've seen this thing walk and then somebody tells you, oh, well, it's a bear, and you say, oh yeah, okay, possibly. Like no, there's a big difference, and
Yeah.
it's that one always gets me, man. Uh, I know, I get it. It's a big thing. The colors are a lot similar when people talk about it and stuff like that, but there's a very big difference. And even all the reports that you say, like you take the Martin Grove thing, whether they believe it or not, but what they told him afterwards was, "You're a crazy person. You seen a
Hmm.
bear." All these FWC people, if you tell them something, they're gonna dismiss it and say it was a bear. And you know that's always been funny to me, but I don't understand why. I mean, why is it a bear? Why do they always pass it off as a bear?
Yeah, it's just yeah, and that it like I said, it's always irritated me when they say, "Oh, you mistook a bear." Everybody,
Well,
I saw one. I was driving to work one day, and if I hadn't looked to my left, I would have hit this bear with my truck. But this
right.
bear shot across the road in front of me, ran across the road, and it was obvious it was a bear, and it was fast. I mean, it
Oh
this
yeah,
whole
bears move,
whole
man.
incident lasted like 3 seconds, and it was
Right,
like 5 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, so it was still dark out, and this thing shot across the road in front of me. Just the length of the time it took to cross the road and be in my headlights, so it was really fast. I
right,
didn't mistake it for anything other than a bear. It was a bear. It was obvious it was a bear. Now, if it had ran across the street at that speed on two legs,
right.
then I
Then
would
you'd be,
be like, I didn't see a bear. I didn't see
yeah.
a bear because a bear can't run that fast across the street at night in front of a moving vehicle on two
On
legs.
tour, no. And most of the time, I mean, it depends on where you're at. A black bear, uh, they're going to try to get away from you a lot of the
Hmm.
times. Now,
Oh yeah.
anytime they come in, they're being sneaky. But like, if you're walking in the woods and there's a bear, he's going to dart, and it's always going to be on four legs, and he's going to try to get away from you. We seen two in Bluff Creek when we was up there, and dude, they didn't want any part of us.
Hmm.
Uh, Even in British Columbia, the big bears and stuff that we seen up there, I mean, they was right outside. I mean, the first day they walked right by. The second day, like, I mean, I'm talking huge paws of bear crap, and then you look to your left, and here's a huge brown bear, and there's no way you're going to look at that and say, ah, that's a Bigfoot, you know.
Right.
Uh,
And they're very distinct. When a bear stands up on hind legs, it's to do two things. One
right.
is to look. They're always looking, like they'll stand up just to look.
Yeah.
And another is when they're threatened, they'll get up really high
Yeah.
to make themselves look bigger, but they go right back down. You know
Yeah.
what I
And
mean?
if there's something that they want to eat and they need to stand up to get it, they'll stand
Right.
up and they'll stand there for a second or whatever, or they'll scratch their back, but they're not doing anything, you know, like when like kind of the same way when you seen when you was talking about a gorilla can walk on its hind legs and it will walk from time to time, but it's not long, but it's a
No.
distinct.
They
And
do it more in captivity than they do in nature.
right, yeah, yeah, for sure,
It's
for sure.
very rare you see a gorilla walking on his hind legs in nature. Very
Yeah,
rare.
yeah. And if you do, it's more of like he's fixing to attack some little brat that's going around doing something,
Uh,
and he stands up for a couple steps and grabs them.
or
Uh,
again, he's reaching up to get something
right.
and out of a tree or something like that. Um,
And
but you mostly see it in the zoos.
yeah, and you've read them. I've read them about accounts of them, of people seeing Sasquatch. Oh, it was up and then it dropped down and ran on all fours.
Yep.
Uh, so the spider crawl, you know, I tell you what, I've talked to people who have encountered that, and if I was to run across that, would probably spook me. I don't get spooked in the woods a whole lot, and I'm not saying that trying to be a tough guy. I mean, trust me, I've been in places where I'm like, nope, I'm out. And then they're like, come on, you sissy. I'm like, well, I'll be a sissy right over here.
That's
you know,
it.
uh, because, but what I'm saying is, if I was, you talk about, I mean, a spider crawl, if I was to see, I don't know any other apes that would do that. Or, I mean, I've not looked into it enough neither, but, uh,
No, I'm not sold on the spider crawl. Now, I'm sold on
yeah,
all fours.
yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. I think they do drop down to all fours and stuff.
right,
But the when certain people define the spider crawl, they there's the arms are widespread
right,
and they're
everything.
only on their hands.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, dude, that's
You'd
a
have to,
lot of weight
yeah,
to
you'd
hold
have to,
up. Try doing a push up that way.
oh,
See what I'm
yeah.
saying? With
Right.
your arms out almost all the way.
Yeah, yeah.
But bring
Let
them
alone
in. You
walking
can
really
still
fast.
squat down pretty low and
Yeah,
move with your arms closer.
yeah. Well, and I
So,
mean, granted, like, you know, uh, they're probably in way better shape than us.
oh
So,
yeah, oh
but
they
I get what
definitely.
you're saying, you know what I mean? And like reading this book too, that was an interesting thing because all four of the Sasquatches look different. And he described the dad as being the big one, barrel chested and all this, but he said it had massive hands, but the fingers wasn't long. And when you read a lot of these reports, they talk about how big and long the fingers and stuff was. Not always, but you get a lot of those. But he said that stood. He said the fingers didn't go with the hand. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and when he described the mother, he said that one, she wasn't pretty. It's like she was an ugly little thing, but the way she walked was like a waddle and kind of like a gorilla would. And what I found interesting in it was the hair that he said it would go down and flip up, and the drawings that he done, they look cartoonish in a way, like that. Remember that one big red dog? Uh, Not Clifford, but it was like you'd only see him from time to time in like a Bugs Bunny cartoon. He's like a red dog, and all he would do is punch somebody. But
Oh yeah, yeah.
he had like hair in his face, but it was like come down and matted and come
Right,
out.
right.
The way they described these, and they had a bigger like a football shaped head, but the hair came down in their face. And but he, so I mean, what do you going back to? And I know we're just having a podcast and bullcrapping, so and just passing ideas and stuff, and getting into this, but like it's hard to put a label on. Are they? I definitely think they're more human, but is it going as far as saying it's a different species of human, or is it saying it's just a more advanced ape, or uh,
I mean,
or just a
I'm not.
different? I think it's its own thing. I don't think it's like an
Yeah, I
inbred
think
thing.
it's its own entity. I think it's its own, um, and it has human characteristics, but
Right.
so does a chimpanzee, so
Well,
does a
that's what I'm
gorilla.
saying. Look at it. If you
But
found just parts of a chimp structure in the ground and didn't, you know what I mean? Like certain bones would pass for human bones. You know what I mean? And uh, I don't know. Just like when you, I just think that I'm like you. I think that they're their own species, but I think that you know I've heard people say that they're just like humans, and there's so many different styles of humans and stuff. And you look at the urine, like a lot of those you see them with slanted eyes and more of the upper cheeks and slanted eyes, and it's like,
well, it's like I said, and I'm I'm not a big believer in the DNA study that was done. I'm just not. I think there was way too many mistakes done.
you talk about
People have already come in and said, yeah,
the uh,
Melba Ketchum,
right, okay, yeah,
the
yeah. I
DNA
mean, I've
study.
heard a lot
I
of
think
that
I
too.
don't. And a lot of them said she only skimmed the surface. You
Mhm.
actually go deeper into DNA study, you get a lot more information. It would have cleared up a lot of things.
Right.
She didn't do that. She did the basically in the DNA world she did the bare minimal. And there were even issues with that, and especially peer review and different things like that. I won't get into it. Um,
Well, I mean,
but uh,
right.
but with
I get.
that, them saying that they're part human, the female mitochondria DNA. I saw
Right.
a thing on television. I'm not going to get into that portion of it, but there's an explanation for that. It goes way back, but there's an explanation for that because um, other species have the same thing. You know what I
Right.
mean? But I'm not
Right.
getting into it. I'm not a DNA guy.
I
But
get you.
pushing the DNA aside, I just think it's another species of
I
its
think.
own that
Right.
has lived parallel to us at the same time.
Yeah.
Doing a very good job staying hidden and staying, basically for survival, absolutely for survival. Um,
Yeah.
but I
I've
think
always.
it's a species that's going extinct. I think it's going
Right.
extinct.
Has to look at. I mean, at some point, look at all the building they're doing. They ain't gonna have no place
Yep.
to live. you know.
I think
Uh,
every year that goes by, I think the chances get slimmer and slimmer because of these things. I think they're going extinct. I mean, when you look at what does it take to maintain a viable population, just you can Google this. What would it take to maintain a population of anything for any certain time? Like, for
yeah.
example, when things go into the endangered species list,
Hmm.
okay, or even extinct. Extinct doesn't mean the last one's gone.
Right.
Okay, there are species that are classified extinct that are still here. Science knows they're
Yeah. Yeah.
still here, but the numbers are so small they're not going to survive.
Right.
They're at one point there will be the last one. Their population has dropped so low they can never come back. See what I'm
Right.
saying? And I
Right.
think that's where we're at with Bigfoot is the numbers are so small. I think they should be considered an endangered or if not going extinct species.
Yeah. Well, they just found that one species of mountain gorillas or something like that they thought was extinct, and they found like a little small. Either they thought they were extinct, or they found a new species
Uh huh.
of uh, sorry, I just seen something. They had an extinct of I don't know if it was like a new species or they thought it was extinct or whatever, but I would agree with you on that.
Well, I just saw this thing one just recently. I forgot what the animal was, but that's what brought it up. That's how I learned about how they define extinct. It doesn't necessarily mean the animal is completely 100% gone. even though it does mean that. I mean, there are a lot of animals that are absolutely gone for good, but an animal can be considered extinct just by its numbers, just by the fact that it
Yeah.
just cannot,
Yeah.
it will
Oh,
never
no.
be able to breed fast enough or frequently enough to bring the species back.
Right. Right. I know. Yeah. Well, and that's what sucks. I don't know what study they're doing, and the study at NC State that apparently they're doing, and they're saying that what I've read about it is it would take the stuff that they've found now. I guess we're not going to learn about it. I'm sure somebody will, Cliff or somebody, because I think he's the one that's over it or involved in it or whatever. But they're supposed to be doing this DNA study at NC State right now, and but what are they studying? Are they taking the same stuff that basically like Melba and them done and just doing a deep dive, or are they taking new stuff? And then they're saying that we may not find out everything for a couple years, but it's like I don't personally think that they're ever going to identify it as a species, in my opinion. Uh, Even if they know it's there, I just don't think that they will, unless it just gets so big that they have to at that point.
Mhm.
But I think
Right.
if they can get some DNA stuff on it and kind of prove it, but not make a big deal, I don't think they'll ever identify it as one. And I think, me personally, that's the reason I say that is because I feel like that's what they've done already. I think the government knows and they're already hiding it. So why would they eventually come out unless?
Yeah, and that was the thing I brought up when we were talking to Todd Neese is everybody wants disclosure. Everybody wants the government to come out and say, yes, they exist. Well, and that's when I brought up one good point. I was like, listen, if if I was the government, here's the reason why I would not, come out for full disclosure on Bigfoot. I would come out and be like, maybe, who knows, but I'm not going to come out and say yes, they absolutely exist. We know they exist, and here's where
Right.
there are.
Yeah.
The reason why is because once you do that, it opens up what other cryptids. Now, does the government now have to say dogmen exist? Does it have now to say wendigos exist? Does it have to say that all
Well,
these other cryptids exist because they acknowledge Bigfoot? See what I'm saying?
and that's funny
You
you
know?
say that because somebody sent me, well, didn't send it to me personally, but it was in a group chat, and it was some woman, I think maybe in Pasco County or something, and or I don't know if it's county, but Pasco, and she she was talking about how there's people saying, and I don't know, I've not researched it, I could care less, and that's not being rude. I just don't have no interest in that stuff. Uh, but apparently, people are reporting seeing a winged person, somebody with wings flying
Right.
around, and so, and that would fall into what you're talking about. So if you come out and say Bigfoot exists, then now people are going to say, "Well, I
It,
just seen a flying
hence,
man."
everything exists. Right.
And and that's why I'm saying it's funny that you said that because, this woman was putting it out there, and then she's like, "Well, Jeepers Creepers was filmed in Florida." You know what I mean?
Up in Ocala, Dunellen.
Right, and that's a winged person, and so it's like, are people just saying that because a movie's coming out, or, uh, you know, I just, to me, Bigfoot would be believable just because of what everything we know about it. Some of this
Yep.
other stuff, even the werewolf dogman, I'm not completely sold on that. Uh, but
I'm not. I've said it publicly. I mean, I understand people said they've seen
yeah,
a dogman, and stuff like that. I'm not sold on it because I've yet to see any evidence. Where are
right,
the footprints? Where's the hair? Nobody here's and I used the Melba Ketchum study. Melba Ketchum was given a ton of samples, You know,
Mm-hmm.
it was well over 100 samples is what I was told, anywhere from 100 to 175 samples. All
Mm-hmm.
these samples, people found this hair and said, this is Bigfoot, this is Bigfoot, this is Bigfoot." And but these are also areas that, quote, people say there's Dogman. So if I came out there and I found hair, how do I know it's a Bigfoot versus a Dogman? How do I know? See what I'm
If I'm
saying? So
well,
so I sent it into Melba Ketchum and everything, and she came back with all this evidence of Bigfoot, but not one evidence of a Dogman. But two is the foot castings. You're looking at a Dogman, and when people talk about the Dogman, they're talking about this thing being, 6, 7, 8 feet tall, huge, just like a Bigfoot, a large creature. Okay,
yeah,
so how big is a dog print of that size? It's got to
right,
be a print as big as my head,
yeah,
and I got a big head. No, I'm just kidding. But it's a big print. We're not
right.
seeing that. We're not seeing
I've
that at all.
yeah, and I've not, and I'm not saying, and this is by me. I'm open minded, but you have to prove it to me. You know what I mean? I'm not going to
Right.
sit there and just take everything. So it's like when I the thing that made me sort of interested in it was when I was reading about Gigantopithecus. It brought me across a thing called Dinopithecus, and it looks like a 6 foot baboon. And
Yeah.
you know, I could see it being that, but at the same time, it's like, what was that one? Do you remember seeing that video where somebody hit something on the road? It's old. It's like probably in the 70s, 80s. Not calling you old, but I'm just saying like it's an older video.
Exaggerate with this comment. I he was saying it's quite possible that the two species are one and the same. I
Right.
do. I think a dogman is probably is a Bigfoot. It's just mistakenly, but some
Maybe
have
it's
a
got
bulbous nose. I've been Bigfoots have a bulbous nose, but they say, oh, it's the ears. The ears are. I mean, what if you got a Bigfoot with big ears? You know what I mean? We don't know. You know what I mean?
well, but that's what I'm saying.
I don't know.
But that's what got me when I was reading a Gigantopithecus. I don't think Bigfoot is Gigantopithecus. I think it's like maybe a cousin to it or something like
No,
that. Uh, but
no, I
when you
don't think
look
it's Gigantopithecus at all.
right, but when they base it, a lot of it off that. But what I'm saying is when you look at that and then look up Dinopithecus, it's a monkey. It's just shaped differently, and but it looks like a big baboon. So it would have the pointed ears and it would have the big hairy back or whatever they describe it with. And anybody who's interested, look it up. And I mean, look it up for yourself. Look up Dinopithecus. To me,
Yeah,
that's what I say. But
when
I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying I think it would be what you are saying. It's the two and one and the same.
yeah, and here's the thing is, when we look at it just blows my mind every time I hear this. Where it doesn't matter what species you're talking about. It could be
Right.
mammoths, it could be whatever, and they say, well, it came across the land bridge. It came from the
Right.
Bering Strait. It came across the land bridge. Every animal y'all keep bringing up comes across the land bridge. Are y'all telling me this entire continent didn't already have animals? I
Right.
truly believe, that
Well, they
Bigfoot
talk
or anything else it was already here.
right.
That's
That's
why
what
you
I
have
think.
it. Yeah, that's why you have it in Australia. That's why you have it in China. That's why you have it in Russia. It was
Well,
all over. It was
well,
already here. It
yep.
didn't come. It didn't migrate here. It was
If I'm
already
not
here. We
mistaken,
have mammoth tooths and tusks in Florida.
right.
Mammoths
Well, that's what
in
I'm saying.
Florida.
Yep. But that's what I'm saying. Like, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I watched or read where like giraffes and lions were originally here. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like they used to be here, but now everybody's like, oh, well, they're in Africa. Well, apparently they were all here at one point, so because they've got bones of it. Uh,
Right. Yeah, I mean, and when I say this continent, we're talking Canada, United States, South America. This is a
yeah,
big area, and I
huge.
think everything was already here.
Mm-hmm.
That's why a lot of people say, well, how come we don't find fossils and this and that? Well, it's very rare to create a fossil. Everything has to fall into place to create a fossil for one. But that better argues the fact that they've always been here. Because if an animal comes over at a later date, see what I'm saying,
Hmm.
and dies, then it's, you might find their bones because they came at a later date. But something that's always been here could
Well,
go back
like
millions of years.
like we talked about before, my dad, he worked in 24-inch coal, and they found seashells in a
Hmm.
coal mines in Kentucky. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it's how'd that get there? I'm sure people didn't decorate it that way. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
uh, I just I think that we just I look at it like the ocean. They find new stuff there all the time. You try to explain half the stuff they've found in the ocean, and then it turns around that all this weird stuff that they always find in the ocean, that all of a sudden you're saying that there's no possibility of a Sasquatch. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
there's such crap that I think is out there that we don't know about because we just not. I think I read a thing one time where it said like maybe 30% of the land now is actually been, kind of like the ocean. They've only discovered or explored 20 something percent of it or something like that.
Yeah, well, I
So we
just
don't,
I just saw on television this week they found a new city, Mayan city down in South America, a new one. See what I'm
well,
saying?
I think you
They
brought
just
it up
keep
before.
finding these things.
I think you brought it up before, and I'm with you on this. That LIDAR, the LIDAR,
LiDAR.
I think that's
It,
the key right there.
yeah, if we can get LiDAR to not just, because it's for surface. It's mapping the surface. That's how it shows walls and mounds and hills and valleys and stuff
They
like
found,
that. But if we can get it to also pick up large animals, which I believe that I would
they
say
probably already
with
got it.
technology, the military's got it. I guarantee you there's a satellite or something that's got this technology. It's
They
not
probably
just
already
known
been
to
doing.
civilians yet. But
Yeah,
if you get LiDAR that can pick up, for example, an elephant in a rainforest,
right,
it picks up things like that instead of the vegetation.
right.
Um, you put that on an airplane, you can cover a lot, thousands and thousands of miles a day.
Hmm.
You'll cover a lot of data in a day.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I
if that's
think.
the case, then we would find Bigfoot. We would find him.
Well, what I loved about it was, when they do these things, it does it at such a precise level. They've found these little hidden cities, and they found what I really like about it is they find more trails and pathways than you normally find. You know what I'm saying? Like, so they can pick up these trails and these patterns where uh, that you may not see on a regular satellite. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
and because I've seen some of them, and some of my apps have lidar and stuff like that, but it's not at the degree of what these other ones are. And
Right. Well, I
but
mean, because it's got to exist because they're mapping the moon, for Christ's sake. You're
yeah,
going to
yeah.
tell me you don't have the technology to that type of technology to map the Earth?
Well,
Um,
that's why when I first got into this, that was one of the main things why I wasn't a Bigfoot believer at first. I had never looked into it. I'd never, and we talked about that on a podcast. I'd never, when you interviewed me, I never knew anything about these things. Never, I'd had stuff happen and just blew it off because I'd never looked into it. My grandma would say stuff like woolly booger or wood booger, and you know,
yeah.
heard this stuff, but I honestly just pass it off as she's just trying to be funny and it's a monster in the woods or something like that, and never put anything into it. When I and I wish if I ever ran into this guy, I'd apologize to him. I wasn't rude to him. I'm never rude to people. Uh, but this is before. This is back in my drinking days. I went to a liquor store and this guy was like, "Oh, where are you from? Kentucky?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Man, you're up there in Bigfoot world," and I was like, "Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah." He laughed. He's like, and he was talking about Expedition Bigfoot, and he asked me, he said, "So do you believe in them?" And I was like, "No." He's like, "Why?" It's like, military wise, I was like, with all the technology that's out there, you can't tell me we wouldn't have had any proof or evidence or anything like that about it. at that time, I had never really looked in and read anything. And, you know, he didn't, I guess he got the impression of what most people get when somebody says, "Oh, well, you're crazy," you know, and I think
Yeah.
that's probably one of the
Yeah.
main reasons why.
That's it's funny when they come to that because I got friends and stuff like that, and me and you've talked. We walked the woods. We talked. That was a good
Yeah,
day for us to get together and get to know each other
yeah,
better and stuff
right,
like that.
right.
And it's really funny because anybody who knows me will say, "Hey, Rick is very intelligent. He's an honest guy. He's pretty well rounded. Blah 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 blah. Even at my job, they're like, he's you know very focused, very good." Crazy is never a word they would ever use until you say the word Bigfoot. Oh, he's
Yeah,
crazy. He's crazy. All
yep,
of a sudden, you say the one thing,
yep.
you know, all of
And
a
I
sudden,
felt
everything you know about me is wrong.
no, right. I've had friends that I've grew up with, and they know me to a T. And you know a little bit about me. I'm an honest, down to earth person. I try to be respectful towards everybody. I'm that friend that if you need me, I'll be there. And that's how they knew me. And then when I started bringing up Bigfoot, uh, all of a sudden, Frank's that crazy person now, and
Yeah,
you know, he lost his mind down in Florida, and it's like, no, no, I'm not. And it's like I wish I could take those people and let them see everything, and then let them have their opinion. But at the same time, I've got to that level now where I really don't care. But I knew what feeling I gave him, so I felt bad about it now. you know,
yeah.
and
Well,
I never caught him
that's
crazy.
what I
But
tell people. You have to go in this field not to convince people. That's not your. It's really not your job. Don't do it. Don't worry about it. Convincing people. You know what I
well,
mean? Just bringing awareness to it is enough. You know what I
mhm,
mean? It's like I can come across somebody out there where we were at, and never
yeah,
run into nobody. But finally, I run into somebody, and I just say, "Hey, be careful of Bigfoot out there." Now he may not believe. He'll laugh and say, "Oh, that's funny. I don't believe in Bigfoot." But I guarantee you, the next time he goes out, what I just
that's
said, it's there. See what I'm saying?
I've been at a lot of these NASCAR races, and I always wear a Bigfoot shirt. Like this one right now, I get because it brings in conversations like, I
Yeah,
found Jesus, but I'm still looking for Bigfoot. You know, and it's just something that somebody will see. And then
I like
sometimes
that
it's,
shirt. I like that shirt. I gotta hunt that one down.
I'll
And
say,
on that subject, I don't want to break you away from what you're saying is, but I do have shirts. I ordered shirts for me and you.
yeah, yeah,
They should be coming in hopefully in the next week.
definitely.
I went a route that I never went before, so I don't know how good they're gonna be.
Okay.
But
Hey, either
but
way, I'm going to get one just because
yeah.
I really liked that one that you had on out there. And
Well,
I was like, oh,
yeah, this
you
is the
know,
one I
that,
wore out there that day.
yeah,
I
I
only have
like it.
the one.
Well, but I
I
like that style, the
Oh
breathable
yeah,
cut off. Like that's what I like. And when I seen that, I was like, man, I got to get me one of those. And but I've been out at NASCAR races. I've been out places, and I always have. I really like the that one guy at the Ocala Festival. He always sells the shirts, what the
hmm
sass or whatever. So I have a lot of his stuff, and I couldn't tell you how many times I've been sitting there at a NASCAR race, watching my son wait on the drivers or whatever, and somebody come up and say, "Hey, man, I like that shirt," you know, and it's like it sucks that it's at that level where people are still so afraid to talk about it, but we got to get past that because and you're never going to convince people, and I learned that very quick. And
no,
people's not going to convince. The only way you're going to convince me of something is if I read about it enough or I see it for myself, and I have that something that tells me, okay, that's real. And if you prove me wrong, good. I'm
yep.
happy about it. You know what I mean?
20 years
Because
ago, I didn't believe in it either.
right,
I didn't think anybody was crazy.
I didn't know
I was agnostic.
I didn't know they had this much stuff about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I
Well, back then when I got it, there wasn't. See what I'm
well, right.
saying?
I
And we
didn't.
didn't have anything called YouTube, and we didn't have Facebook. We didn't have,
I
Instagram.
never
We
owned
didn't
it.
have anything, and the internet itself had
Right,
very little, very
right.
little.
I remember, and they always said where I grew up was like 30 years late. And,
Yeah.
I didn't grow up with, I didn't have a cell phone or didn't know really what a cell phone was until I got in boot camp. And then everybody was like, man, I miss my cell phone. I'm like, what was that? And then,
Go back
uh,
to when I was in.
right,
There was no such thing as email. There was no
right,
such nobody even there was nothing. Zero. You had to make a phone call when you
well,
hand wrote a letter home.
yeah,
Okay, and I was stationed. My home port was Japan, so
hmm
I was in the Westpac the whole time I was in.
right,
And if I mailed a letter home, it took 2 months at
right,
the earliest to get there.
right,
Then if they read it and then
right,
they wrote me back, it's 2 months before I even get that back, depending on where I'm at. If I'm in the Persian Gulf or somewhere else, it might be 3 or 4 months before I get a letter. You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
So that was when I was in. You had to. The only way you could call home was collect, and man, my parents did not like getting a collect call from other countries, man.
Well,
I tell you.
that's when you said the message and hung up when it asks you your name. You're like, click. That way you can say what you need to say before you got billed.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah,
But no,
because I would be out at sea for 6 months, and then I would get back to Japan, and once I got liberty, the first thing I would do is, call home. And the phones, it's really weird when you go on base. It's not a pay phone.
yeah,
But it only had like 3 buttons on it,
hmm
and it was different places to call, and like you would hit the button for international or something like that or something, and you would hit that button and an operator would come on. I'd say, yeah, I'd like to make a call to so and so, whatever, and it would ring at my parents' house, and they would say, hey, you got a call from so and so in Japan, and of course they would say yes every time. But
right,
yeah, I never saw the phone bills, but I know my mother wasn't very happy.
right, yeah. You know, I think I kind of went into boot camp more accustomed to what you were into a technology world. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
like I said, where I was from, I thought cell phones were something just only in Hollywood. You know what I mean? I didn't know they was really a cell phone at that time. And when I got in there and everybody's just mad because they can't talk on their cell phones, I'm like, I guess they had it harder than me because I didn't, like I didn't know nothing about it. And so, you know, if these people would actually, I don't know if it's ego, don't care. Uh, that's why I don't argue with my friends or anything now. If they do question it, I got some that now that I have, they'll come out and talk about stuff. Even my dad. My dad used to make fun of me. He'd say, and my dad's one of those. He looks like Hank Williams Jr. He's an old coal miner, straight to the point. If he called you back then, you pick up the phone, he'd say, "Thought I told you to do this," and hang up on you. You know what I mean? Like he's just
Right.
one. And so he knew I got into this, and he knew I spent a lot of time out in the woods and stuff like that. And he knows how I am. He knows I'm a woodsy guy, and so he was happy about that part. But when he found out about the Bigfoot stuff, he'd look at me and say, "You really think that's something?" And kind of give you in that smirk like you're crazy, and without saying it. And but the longer I stayed in it and kept doing it, then he was getting more curious. And then he'd say, then he eventually, years had passed, and he was like, "Well, I was out in the woods this time
Mhm.
on a boat and heard something," and you know what I'm saying. Then he starts telling you
Right.
stories that are identical to what you get in reports. And so it's like he probably wouldn't admit it, but I think he believes in it now. I think he has believed in it. He just never. But I think there's a lot of
Yeah,
people.
and I get asked the same thing. People be like, "Oh, do you really believe in that?" And I'm like, and all I tell them is, there's enough information that tells me I need to dig
That's what I
deeper.
started. I was like, look,
You know,
I believe in it, and I've read enough, and I've researched enough to know, and I've had encounters and stuff, so I know. And
yeah, there's something going on. There is definitely something, and I'm
but
just trying to
that's
figure
what
it out.
because if you tell them you see them, then you're definitely
Right.
crazy.
I
But
stay away from that. I stay away from my own encounters. I just
Right.
say, well, there's enough information
That's what
that
look, if you want to
has
do your
drawn
own,
my interest.
yeah. And that's what you have to do. I'm like, look, there's plenty of stuff. You just have to do your own research, and it's there. And I didn't know it. And so, but I do think that, I don't know, going back to, do you think they swim? I mean, obviously, I think they swim, but do you think they swim far?
No, I don't think
No.
they swim far. I think they can swim. But but I think it's across. Um,
It's like an island or something,
yeah,
you
I
know?
mean, if it's visible, you know what I mean. It's not like
Right.
too
Yeah,
far.
yeah.
I don't think they're going to swim miles and miles and stuff like
Right.
that. Like a polar bear will a polar bear will swim for miles. You
Right.
know, I
Right.
don't think these things because if it does fall in line with primates and whatever, um, they can swim, but
Hmm. Well,
it's
orangutans can't.
not.
Yeah, I don't think orangutans can. If they get in water, they'll drown. I think a lot of
Yeah,
primates would drown in water. Now, I know some can
yeah.
swim, but I know some of them. It's like I don't know if they just don't know what to do or what. But I watched a video of a orangutan that fell, and it just sunk. Like it wasn't even
Yeah.
trying much to get out, and they ended up rescuing it. But uh, the reason I ask that is I got a book called
Yeah, I
Aquatic
just
Sass.
think because of.
Go ahead.
Oh, really?
No, I was just
No, no, no.
I
Go
got
ahead. Aquatic Sasquatch.
well, I got that book, and I ain't really got into it yet, but it brought me back to when I first got into this. There was a guy I listened to on Sasquatch Chronicles. His dad was in the Navy, and they spent a lot of time on the water when he got back. And this was up in like the Vancouver area, and he said that anytime his dad got back from deployment or anything like that, he had a little sailboat, and they would always travel those little islands that connected through there.
Hmm.
And one day they was going across, and they thought they was seals, and but it looked different, so they started going towards it, and these things had swam over to a bank, and when they crawled out, he said they stood up, and they had hair, but you could see through to the skin. And when they stood up, they walked into like a little wooded area, and there was a group of them in there. And so that got me interested in it. He sounded very truthful, but I was like, you know, I think kind of like the polar bear thing. I don't think like what you're talking about, how you said, I agree with you. Like, I don't think they don't swim something they can't see, but I do think that those little islands would be perfect little spots for them to swim to and stuff like that. And uh, but going back to that, does that make them more? Is it just their own species that can swim? Because we know certain primates can and certain can't. So it's like,
Well, I don't know. I mean, because some animals are born automatically knowing how to swim. For example, you throw a puppy in
yeah,
water, it knows how to swim.
yeah,
Um, I don't know. I mean, because you could throw a baby human and they'll drown. They don't. They're not born knowing how to swim. We're born waterproof, but we're not born to swim.
right,
We have to learn it. I don't know. That's kind of like
yeah,
if you got a Bigfoot in the middle of Oklahoma or Montana or something like that doesn't see large bodies of water like that. That I mean, there's large lakes, but they can walk around them.
yeah.
Versus Florida, you know, I don't know, or like you said, British Columbia up there and Vancouver and stuff where there's islands. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if it's a learned behavior or
If
they're
it's just
they're just
things or
they
whatever,
just know. I don't
right?
know.
I don't know. There's so many things that you can delve into. I guess that's why it makes me curious. Uh, and there's so many rabbit holes, and that's I get caught up thinking so much of different things that my mind goes back and forth with it, and not not that I'm trying to persuade myself to believe a certain thing, but it's more like just interested in it.
Right.
And that's why I guess I try to be open minded, just because it's hard to take people at face value, but you kind of gotta have to. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
uh, but I don't know. It's just it's always been an interesting topic for me, and I don't think it's hard to get out of once you get in. I know that.
Yeah. I and this is, long time ago, and I, you know, don't remember who the guy was. It's I mean, a long time ago when I first got into researching and looking and stuff. And there was a guy online, and he was always posting stuff and that he's seen Bigfoot in the ocean. I mean, like he was scuba diving and saw a
Right,
Bigfoot.
right.
Another time he claimed to see one flying. It was a Bigfoot flying.
Well,
Yeah,
well,
there's crazy, and you got to weed through it all. Not
well,
only is there crazy, but there's also hoaxers and liars, and there's AI and all these different things that we have to filter through to really get to some good stuff, some nitty gritty possibilities and stuff like that. So, like I
well,
said, with what we do, that's the hardest part.
well, and when I first started reading about this, and you've been in Florida way longer than me, so you remember how Florida was before it got crazy, and all the construction that's going on now. Because, like, you know, I've read so many reports in this book about the Keys, and for me, the Keys just ain't a spot where I would think a Bigfoot would be, you know,
Right.
and uh, but these are, I guess, back in the day before people really started flooding the area, and it's like, are is it that? Is it, I don't know. It's like, because you read reports, and
Yeah.
like a guy, it's like, what do you make of it? You have to say, like you said, weed through it, and it's hard to do because people take that stuff personal, you
Mhm.
know. Uh, that's I guess sort of a downside and a plus. It's a give and take, I guess. But what do you think they're more similar to? You said you do all these,
I
you
think
try to.
I think I think let I mean I kind of lay I I I think they resemble humans, but they're not human. I don't think they have
Right,
anything uh to other than two eyes, a nose, a mouth, five fingers, five toes, walk bipedal. I think that's as far as it goes. Because even apes and different animals share
look,
like 98% of our genome. See what I'm
right,
saying? It's a very
yep,
small, tiny thing that separates one species from another.
right,
So I think it's its own separate species. I think if I were to say anything, um, it's either closer in between primate and more of a Neanderthal type
yeah,
area where
right,
it's a species of hominid that's been able to survive a lot further than the others. See what I'm saying? Because now they're proving there used to be there was only one at a time could live. Remember, science said only one at a time could live. Now they
hmm
find out that was untrue. Science was wrong on that. They redid everything, and now they're showing there's up to 8 to 10 different species of hominids that walk the earth at the same time. See what I'm
yeah,
saying?
right,
Now, according to us, all of them are extinct but us. But is that
right,
true? Did
right,
some of them make it? Did some of them survive to current, our current age? I think yes. I think some did
yeah,
survive. Okay. But like again, and this goes back to a question I've been trying to get back to with Icebox when he said, why do we think it's going extinct? I think they survived. I think they're here. But again, I think the numbers are extremely small. I think the numbers are, if they're not there now, I think they're slowly through time getting there, where their numbers are so small that they're not going to be able to breed their way back. They're just not. They're just going to be considered extinct because there's no way they're going to be able to come back. And I think that's where we're at. And we can use some examples. For example, in Florida, I use the panther all the time. We know the Florida panther exists. It's been seen and stuff like that. It's been photographed, and what a beautiful creature. But they only estimate about 200 in the entire state of Florida. Okay? Now, how many Sasquatch do you think are in Florida? Well, it's got to be less than that.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? It's got to be less than that. Now, we have
Yeah.
67 counties in Florida. 67.
Yeah.
Okay? So how many Bigfoots would be per county?
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? It would be very, very small numbers. So when numbers that small, they're dying. They're going extinct. They are not breeding their way out of this, and that's why I say that's why I'm big on protecting them. I'm big on protecting land. I want disclosure just to say they're on this property. This property is now protected. See what I'm saying?
Right.
No more building condos. No more golf courses. Let's let them
But see,
live.
I totally agree, and that's what I'm in for it too. But that's also the reason I think that the government wouldn't come out with it. You know what I mean? Just so they can build in those areas. Because you look at there's a place in Apalachicola that there's an endangered woodpecker and nothing's going on. So it's like, they shut stuff down for certain little minnows. But I think that for them, it's more important to push them out and build stuff. And I think that that's probably going to what you're saying as far as they're weeding out, they're dying, they can't spread around, and they're running out of land. And you look at most.
We have an area here where I think one of the rarest animals we have in Florida, and we do have them here in Highlands County, is the scrub jay. Okay, the scrub jay. Look it up. It's a bluebird type. It's just a scraggly bluebird. It's not an elegant looking bluebird, but the scrub jay, and very rare. It's going extinct. And there was an area on, not far from here where there was all this land, and there were scrub jays and gopher tortoises. And Walmart was going to build a Walmart there, and there was another store, and then a housing community. They did it anyways. They said they went in and removed all these animals. They were able to remove all these animals and put them elsewhere, and I don't buy it.
I wonder if that's got to do sometimes with like the burns that they do. They
could.
Yeah.
I don't know. Drive the animals out.
Well, you was going back to some of the different types of ape species that could, what was it? I'm looking at it. I probably can't even pronounce some of these, but the Endopithecus, it was like the Gigantopithecus, but it was more of our size. It was actually smaller than us, or some of them are actually way smaller than us, like the ones in what they call it.
Well, the thing is with the Gigantopithecus, there is absolutely zero evidence that thing ever made it to this continent, ever.
Right.
Okay. Second of all, it was not bipedal. The creature was not bipedal.
Yeah. Right. It was the way they got it looking. I mean, it's huge, and it had to be on.
Oh yeah.
If it stood up, would it be big? Yeah. But it walked
around. It
was
like 12, 13 feet tall. I mean, the thing was massive.
Yep. But some of the ones like the urine, you see the cheek patterns and stuff. Like, I wonder why it would look. Is it just the region? Because I've heard people say that the ones in Oklahoma look more like this, and you know what I mean. And then you get over there, and they got the higher cheeks and the slanted eyes, and it's like, is it just because what?
Well, I think it's a lot like humans, where we just look different. You know what I mean? A black person looks different than a Chinese. A Chinese looks different than Caucasian. Caucasian looks different. Stuff like that. And I think I think that's. But we're all human. We're all the human race.
Right.
We're all human. I think that's the same with Bigfoot is they're all Bigfoot. I think they just look different. Yeah, and it could have been inbreeding. It could be the area that they're in. For example, in the Pacific Northwest, they're very large, very muscular. Where down here they're smaller, thinner, but it's so hot here. You know what I
Right.
mean? So you're not going to build a large fat reserve. You know what I mean? You are going to be thinner and more muscular because you're running on probably 0% body fat because of the heat in
Well,
stuff
all the
like that.
animals. I mean,
You
the
know?
deers, unless they're on somebody's food plots and stuff, they look like crackheads. You know what I mean? Everything's smaller down here,
Yeah.
and
I mean, our deer are, but it's not like I've seen some very large Florida deer. You know what I mean? But they don't have the fat built up like you do up north because we don't deal with winters and we don't deal with different things like that. You know, but
yeah.
I think they're different. Like in Canada, I think the Canadian Sasquatch would probably be a little bit different than an East Coast or
Well,
different. Yeah, I mean, they're just going to be different.
I can't remember the guy's name, but it was one of the first expeditions I went on. But he went and he was showing pictures of one, like, of drawings that people had described in different areas, and they all look different. And I guess I say that, like, to say that I agree with you on the whole Neanderthal thing. I just think that maybe they're, I don't know. Like, I think they're their own species, but I don't think they're human.
Yeah.
And I think that they're more advanced, I guess, in certain apes. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Well, science is redoing the whole Neanderthal thing right now, and what we saw as kids when you go to the museums and stuff and saw Neanderthal is
Right.
not what the Neanderthal looked like at all. And they're
See,
talking about that the Neanderthal, with what they have now, it was a lot larger than a human man. They were
right.
larger, they were taller, a lot thicker muscles, a lot thicker bone structure, covered in hair,
Hmm.
had a larger cranium. They were actually smart. You know what I mean? They weren't this dumb hit you in the head with a club type stuff that cartoons do. They were
Right.
actually intelligent, extremely strong,
Hmm.
extremely fast. They were hunters. They were, you know what I mean? So
Hmm.
they're changing what a Neanderthal looked like. So as they're doing this, it's starting to sound more and more like a Sasquatch.
Yeah.
You know what I
Well,
mean?
I don't know if you've ever looked into it or whatever. I also, the book Them and Us or Them Plus Us or whatever.
Mm.
It describes the Neanderthal as not what we would think as a
Mm.
Neanderthal too. And I listened to one guy's report. It was in Florida. He was on a airboat, and he said he just got a weird feeling. Anyway, long story short, this thing I guess had a deer, and it was sitting down eating it. And when he came across him, he turned to try to go away from it. And when it stood up, he described it as Neanderthal looking, but he said it was so big that it was on the ground, and when it stood up, it was like a couple feet over the top of his blades. You know what I mean? And that's big for an airboat. And you stand up
Mhm.
and be, and he said it was as wide, and so you know I don't think that'll be an interesting thing when it comes out. I want to look at that because I don't think that Neanderthals are what they try to describe either, or what they have described to us. Uh, but we all know that that stuff was a thing. That's the thing. People have no problem believing Neanderthals and stuff like that, but I just don't understand why it's so hard for people to think of a Bigfoot would be
Well,
fake.
like I said, when you had multiple species of hominids that were actually thriving on the planet at the same time, all different locations, different cultures, different continents and stuff like that. We came later. You know,
Right.
they're our current humans. We came later, um, and to say that one of these other hominids did not survive or has barely survived, um, it wouldn't shock me that, and I think that's what I mean, that's just where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just, I'm not a, I'm not a believer in certain things, so I kind of stay away from those when I draw my conclusions. But I
Right.
just think that it's its own species, that it survived, and we're trying to find it.
So going back to the first thing that we talked about with the nests, we hear about them being. I've heard about them being in trees down here, just because I don't know if they would make. Because Frank, I understand that seeing them as a monster, uh, but that's the way the media has portrayed it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
movies, everything else. Yeah,
yeah,
and it's
any
not a flower child. Those are the people that irritate me most of all when they go out there and they said, "I held hands with Bigfoot and we
yeah,
walked through the woods." No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
right,
No, you
yeah,
didn't. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
No, I agree. Uh, Yeah, because most of the reports that all the reports that I've read about them, as far as any type of contact or being aggressive, they've either tried to get away from you, they try to get you out of the area. As far as like not being aggressive, but people get
Well,
spooked.
yeah, and I agree 100%, Frank, because I brought that up. I brought it up many times where I do not see these things as
I don't either.
aggressive creatures.
I don't either.
And you really got to define aggression. I mean, even I use Ape Canyon all the time. They were, if that story is true, you had those guys in that cabin being attacked by multiple Bigfoot,
Right.
but they were never killed. And with what everybody says Bigfoot's capable of doing, a group of them would
Well,
have had no issue destroying that cabin and killing every man in there, and they didn't do it.
and also it happened after the guy shot the one. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like they
Yeah,
attacked first. It was like, hey, you prick, you shot me. Now I'm gonna go get my buddies and get you all
right.
out of here. You know what I mean?
You know,
And
that's why I'm not a big David Pilates fan. I've said that openly, and I'll say it in David's face. I think he's a liar. I think I've seen enough on the guy. I know a little bit about his background and stuff like that. I think the guy's lying. I think he takes liberties on people's stories. But Bigfoot's not responsible for people disappearing and stuff like that. And if people would actually step away from and do their own research, and I looked into it, as far back as they've been keeping records of missing people in forests, it's it's not thousands, guys. In
right.
God, how in 200 years since the late 1800s, it's only been like 300 and something people in since the 1800s. So that's less than one a year that
Mm-hmm.
disappear in national forests and parks. Now, those out of those one a year, or all those 300, how many were attacked by bear, attacked by animal, attacked by moose, got lost, hyperthermia? See what I'm saying? Fell off a cliff. That happens all the friggin' time. You know what I
That's
mean?
probably
And back,
that's
see what I'm
probably the
saying?
that's to me personally. I think most of it is somebody getting lost and ended up dying, or like you said, they got off the trail or they fell off the cliff, or uh,
But it's never a grizzly got them, a panther got them, a wolves got them. They
right.
died, like. And I know one story for a fact. David Pilates took was talking about the guy in the canoe. I'm not going to tell the whole story, but they found a canoe and they found his body and there was no marks on him, but he was dead. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And they couldn't explain why he was dead. Well, the family came out and said, "Well, this is an untrue story because he was dealing with mental illness."
All right.
Okay, he went out there. He was suicidal, and he actually died of hypothermia.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Well, that's
mean? And yeah,
wasn't
go
that
ahead.
just what happened in somewhere in the Northwest or Alaska or something in the recent years? Like two people they found dead, and they were trying to say it was Bigfoot, and then they found out later that they just died because they was poor planning and they're camping. They went out there
Yep.
and That happens a lot, dude. And
Well, it's and OCST says, I agree. It has Bigfoot harmed a human? I'm pretty sure it has. I'm
yeah,
pretty sure it has. But I
yeah,
think it's not a I think it's a very rare occasion. I think it's a
right.
very rare occasion. And I say this all the time. You look at reports, I've looked at reports, when you talk to people, I mean, how many reports are we at now? 10,000?
Oh yeah,
And 99.9% of those are non-aggressive. People are
yeah,
walking a trail, they're fishing, they're hunting, they're camping, they come across this thing, it looks at them, they look at it, and they go their own way. See what I'm
yep,
saying?
yeah,
Or they follow you out. They follow you out, but they don't harm you. Or they slap
right,
the side of your house, but they don't come in the house. They could
right,
easily come in the house, but don't.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so that's what I'm saying is, you really got to define aggression. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Some of it is just get out of here. We don't want you here. Leave our area. So
right.
there's a little bit of aggression to push you out, but they're not trying to hurt you. They're not trying to
Because
harm
they
you.
could. Well, see,
Yeah.
and going back, that was what was when I first got into this. That's what got me more. Because before this, I had no fear at all of going in the woods. Like
Mhm.
there'd be times I get like weird feelings and stuff, but I never thought a bear was going to attack me because bears try to get away from you. At least black bears, and but it's like now when you put this in there and you realize that there's something smart, you know, uh, then it's not that you're scared of it, but there's that capability of, well, you're at its mercy in a sense, and
Right.
because if the ones that they talk as big as they are, if they wanted to come in your house, there's no stopping them unless
There's
you
no
shoot.
stopping them.
Yeah,
You know.
and I don't think that kind of like what you said, they're not aggressive. I don't believe they're aggressive at all. But what makes it funny is when these people go missing in these places and these people automatically assume Bigfoot.
Yep.
Why is all of a sudden a cat or why is all of a sudden a bear attack? Why is that all of a sudden all that dismissed and
I
Bigfoot is
watched
say,
it. I think it's really funny because you remember what's that remember that what is it called, the Volatov Pass or whatever, the one in Russia where those all those
yeah,
hikers,
where
they all
yeah,
died and disappeared and blah blah blah
yeah,
blah.
they
Well,
found
it's really
them
funny
dead.
because they
They,
always, huh?
it's like they when they found them dead, it was like they found them dead in awkward
Yeah,
ways. Well, yeah,
but they all of it they put on Bigfoot or
right.
whatever they call the Bigfoot over now. All of it, all of it, all of it. I saw a documentary which was really funny how you can't find it now. All of a sudden it's kind of like buried, but
Yeah.
there was an actual scientific study. A
Mhm.
group did go back. They looked at all the information and stuff like that, and came to
Mhm.
the conclusion that it was an avalanche. An
That's
avalanche is what hit the tent, is what
mhm.
hurt. That's why they cut their ways out because they couldn't all get out the door at the same time. They would
Yeah.
cut their ways out because they heard it coming. Well, then the
Yeah.
people argued and said, no, the slope wasn't steep enough for it. Nope, that slope was over 35 degrees, and that the
Yeah.
science showed that's most all of them. You have to have more than 35 degrees, and it had it. The body damage and stuff, the things that they found were done by animals and stuff like that. The broken bones, the way they were broke. Um, so
That
they did this whole study on it. I truly believe they solved that mystery. I don't think it was Bigfoot or whatever they were
well,
calling it.
see, and I watched and read a lot on that too. And at first, the first thing that came out was the story of you know they had holes poked in the tent where they could spy out, and then the last
Yeah,
picture on was you see it coming out of the woods, and then I've read that I watched the avalanche thing, and then I watched another thing saying that they was in some place where had nuclear radiation and they all went crazy and
yeah.
uh but the
Well,
avalanche thing was the one that was like that makes sense because
yeah.
some of them were down in snow and their body like their tongues were ate and and it was like why would and then they threw in the whole thing where Stalin was making women sleep with, or in putting semen or whatever into
Yeah.
women to try super soldier and it's like dude it was just something as simple as an avalanche and it turned into so much that uh, it really got pretty wild but it's like it was so easy for them to make money and stories off of stuff, and that's what
Oh
sucks
yeah.
about it
Oh yeah.
because
Well, and that's what we say it all the time. The weirder it is, the stranger it is, the better it's going to sell. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
That's why I'm talking to people, especially like the podcast, and they'll say, well, y'all should talk about UFOs and y'all should talk about different cryptids and y'all should talk about that. No, I'm a Bigfoot guy. That's what I do. I'm a
yeah,
Bigfoot investigator. I go out looking for Bigfoot and I talk Bigfoot,
yeah,
and I have to be true to what I do. You know what I mean?
right. And yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, there's so many rabbit holes that you can run down. I'm not interested in that stuff enough to really put a lot of energy into it. Like,
No, I mean, if I went into those realms and we started to saying, "Hey, we're going to do a podcast that's going to cover everything," yeah, our numbers will climb and we'll get more of this, more of that. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
I wouldn't be true to me. You
right.
know?
Totally understand it. And that's, I'm the same way. The one that always gets me is the Mothman, like,
Yeah.
uh, and I'm not going to talk about it. It's like, it's another one of those things where that thing would have to fly at me and to
Right.
prove, to prove it to me. You know what I mean?
Well, I've got this book. Ah, yeah. So I got this book. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, I got that one.
Okay, by Ivan Sanderson,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I like him. What's
Yep.
it didn't matter what it was, what creature if you saw a pterodactyl, this guy was coming. This guy was sending a crew, and they wanted to prove if there's a
Yep.
pterodactyl. You know what I mean?
To
That
me,
I would
he's
love to
one.
live that life.
That's what I'm saying. To me, when I found out about him and started reading some of his stuff and got some of his books, like, to me, he's one of the main top notch guys. And
Well, he's the one who coined the phrase cryptozoology.
okay, yeah.
He's the original person to use that term, and that's what
Well,
gets me too. And I tell people all the time, there is no such thing as a cryptozoologist. There's no such
right.
thing. You know what I mean?
But even
Um,
but well, I remember people use that term a lot, and it's like, what do you have to study to get that?
right. Well, here's how,
I
and this
know.
is a great thing with Ivan Sanderson. This is what he said. What cryptozoology? Cryptozoologist is a
Right,
person that is in cryptozoology. But
right.
here's what a cryptozoologist is, guys. Is and there are some really good examples of these people. If you have a degree
Mm-hmm.
in one of the sciences like
Zoology.
archaeology, archaeology. There was three or four that they mentioned, and right now I'm so tired I haven't thought about them. But archaeology, anthropology,
Right.
um, different things. But there was like three or four different precise
Mm-hmm.
sciences, and you
Right.
have a degree in that science.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Let's say I have a degree in anthropology, and I use the science that I've learned in the universities and in the field, and I apply it to the Bigfoot research to
Right.
see does this transfer over to Bigfoot research to prove the existence or non-existence of Bigfoot. That
Right.
is a cryptozoologist, somebody who takes the degree, the science that they
Right.
already know, and
Right.
applies it. Jeff Meldrum was a cryptozoologist by
Right.
definition. Um, what's her name? What's her name?
The one that
From
just passed.
no, from Finding Bigfoot.
Oh, Maria Mayer.
No. That's not Finding
Oh, no,
Bigfoot.
no. I know who you're talking about.
God, why does her name slip me? And I met her.
She's tall too. She's
But
taller than.
yeah, she's tall. But she has a degree
Yeah, she's a
in
science.
those
Yeah,
fields, and she's out there proving or disproving. So she is a cryptozoologist. See what I'm saying? Somebody
yeah.
who goes online, looks it up, and says for $1,500 I can take a week long course and get a
Renee.
certificate saying I'm a cryptozoologist. Yeah, Renee.
Yeah. Well, see, there was something to that too, because when that guy from, I'm not going to talk about it, but anyway, because there's something to that. But she was supposed to be in with the kid, uh, he was at the conference a few years ago.
Right,
He's
right.
well,
Yeah, I know
see,
you're talking
she was
about.
originally part of that cast, and then she backed out, and it made me
Yeah.
think, well, did she find something scientifically?
No,
Because
I know that I'm not going to mention on here, but I
no,
know the
right,
backstory.
right.
Yeah,
Well, me too, and that's why I
yeah.
didn't really get into it. But that proves to me about Renee. You know what I mean? Like that proves to me.
I
Uh,
have said this when I met her. Um, she was probably one of the nicest people I've ever met,
yeah.
ever.
Yep.
She is goes out of her way
Hmm.
to talk to you, to
Yep.
hear what you have to say or to talk to you.
Right.
And I might, she was. I the first time I met her, I was coming down off the stage at the Bigfoot conference, and
Hmm.
she was coming on after us. So I'm leaving the stage, and she walked by and she put her hand on my shoulder and she whispered in my ear. She goes, "I loved what you had to say." You know what I mean?
Right.
And that meant a
That's
lot to me. So
right.
later, I
Oh
went to
yeah.
her booth and we got to talk and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
super person.
She's awesome. I didn't. Well, what surprised me because she got a lot of hate from the show from people and stuff like that. But I like that about her because she's kind of like me. Like you're gonna have to prove it to me. I'm not gonna just say you can tell me this and that, but there has to be more behind it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, uh, I think her dad was like 6'7". She's tall. That's what got
she's
me. Like,
tall.
I mean, she's taller than what you would think. So like when I
Yep.
got beside I thought, man, she's a pretty tall woman. Like, and I'm not tall, but she's like 6 foot, 6'1", something like that.
Yeah,
Uh, but I do like her. I like her a lot
yeah.
because the way that she goes about it. But you don't find many of that. You know what I mean?
No,
Like, you hear a lot of
no.
people say it. I'm a cryptozoologist, but like you
Yeah.
said,
I think
there's
it's yeah. I mean, the conferences, like I said, they irritate me sometimes because um, I go there not so much as to sit and listen to a conference. It really has to be certain guests that I'm
right.
interested in. But mostly, I go there to talk to the general public
Yeah, yeah.
and to talk to all the Florida researchers that are there. You know what I mean?
You
They
probably
have booths.
talk. You
What's that?
probably talk. You probably talk to just as many people as the main speakers when you're there. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because, obviously everybody's trying to go and talk to them, but you go and talk to the crowd. And you also, I mean, you know what I mean? So, like, you are very good at that. I'll give you credit there because you, uh, and I also love that part. I don't, the reason I went to the conference was because when they first put it up, I wanted to go see Jeff Meldrum. I wanted to go hear him speak. I'm a big fan of him. And
I'm
when
glad
they
I
put
did.
it up, well, I missed it because when they put the advertisement up, it was from the year prior. So when I got my tickets, I seen the people who went that year before. So when I got there, I thought Meldrum was going to be there, and he wasn't.
Right.
And I never got a chance to meet him. But walking around and seeing just the crowd and some of the people of what they've got and the experiences that they've had, a lot of it's interesting. Not just very rare. I think uh, who's the dude? He was on. He done some finding Bigfoot stuff. Matt, not Moneymaker. He's up in North Carolina. Let me find his
I
name.
know who you're talking about. I can't think of it either. But
But
like I said, this
I
year.
like him.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying he's one that I like. I put him. Uh,
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. He seems a good
yeah,
guy.
yeah,
It's just funny how I tell you what though. Just some of them their heads swell. You know what I mean? Their heads swell. David Pilates is one of them, which is really funny because every time I see him at a conference, he's got the smallest line out of everybody.
yeah.
Okay, like this past, the the first year that I saw David Pilates, of course, Jeff Meldrum and Ron Moorhead. Um, who else was there? Those two were the major ones. their lines were 100 strong. You know what I mean? Then you
Right.
go down, and David Pilati had like 10 people, and at best. See what I'm saying? Um, I'm not a
Well,
big David Pilates fan. I don't care what anybody says. I don't like anything that promotes fear of the woods. I don't want people scared to go out there. They're going to be disappeared or eaten or killed by Bigfoot. I want people to go out, enjoy camping, enjoy kayaking, enjoy fishing, enjoy nature. Take your kids out there,
yeah.
show them nature, show them a healthy respect of nature and stuff like that. Enjoy it because it's going away. I'm not ever going to promote fear of the woods at all.
No, never. The one guy, he's English. Uh, Man, I'm having brain farts. He was there a couple years ago, 2 years ago, um, and spoke. He's. I'm bombing right now, dude.
Yeah, I'm lucky enough. One of the things I do like to do is when I go is always, you know what I mean, and so I've got autographed. I got a book from Ron Moorhead autographed, and Jeff Meldrum, and Brian King Sharp, and who else I got? I got a lot of them. I just got the book back from you from Lyle Blackburn.
You
That I
know,
picked up and I let you read it first. I haven't read it yet, but I'm going to. But I let you
I'm
read it
so
first.
I'm so glad I kind of got to meet and hear him. Uh, I love his books. The one that you gave me, I read. I absolutely love it. I bought a bunch of them after that, but I like him because he's just. I like his style. I like the way he gets out and does stuff in that area. But uh, like
Well,
he
he,
was
he
in,
when he investigates, when he does a deep dive, he does
right.
a deep dive.
That's what I liked about when I started reading his books. Like I was like, because I didn't know nothing. I didn't really know much about him because there's another guy that wears a hat that's sort of similar to him, uh, and he's a nice guy, and he's been there too. But I was mistaking them two. So
Showing up.
what what is that, dude? Incredible book, absolutely
I'm trying to
amazing.
get it on the screen, but I'm running.
No, it's there. Yeah, absolutely love that book.
Yeah.
Uh, he's got a lot, and you can tell when you go back and read the accounts, like he was in there. He's got pictures. He was in there with those people. Uh, I really enjoyed, and I didn't really get to talk to him much, but as you said, they let nobody at Dave Pilates sing, and I walked straight up to his, and his was a little
Yeah.
different. He didn't have books or anything. He had like little USB ports and stuff, and I got one. But the only book I've got some of his books, and I've read some of his books. But what I always used to trip me out about him was uh, there was a time where he would say something like he didn't write Bigfoot books or something like that, but the names of them were there. And the most
Right.
interesting book that I got of his was the one that's put together. It has all the newspaper articles. That's just cool to me, just because you read stories from like the 1600s of these people in
Yeah.
encounters and stuff, and it's just unique hearing the way it was written and the way people
Right.
spoke. To me, he kind of looks like a dick. I hate to say it that way, but like,
Dave Pilates.
yeah, yeah,
Oh yeah, he comes across as very above
arrogant.
you,
Yeah,
arrogant, narcissistic. He just comes across this very strong attitude when you like
was
you're there to meet him or you're there to talk to him and stuff like that. And he acts
well,
like he doesn't have time for you. Why are you bothering me attitude. I
well,
don't care for the guy. I would never have him
yeah.
on my show.
Somebody told me not to try to shake his hand because he won't shake your hand, and I was like, I forgot about it. So usually I'm a polite person, so I'll go to shake people's hands. I kind of kept my hands in my pocket, but when I went to him, Cliff, I seen his hands were in his pocket, so I just didn't bother him. But like Dave, he just looked at me all funny, and he's like, and then kind of done a fist bump, and I was like, okay, that's whatever. But he does have that I'm better than you look and act.
Yeah.
Uh, he was on, he was just on Joe Rogan, I think, and I was just like,
Yeah. How he pulled that off, I mean, I'm like, oh my
Well,
God,
right.
you could
And
get so many other people, but it's because of his
yeah,
books, it's because of his series, and because,
yeah,
but it's really funny how he makes, that's why he's not liking the Lore Lodge right now, because they've done some very, very, two times now, some very deep dives onto David Pilates, and a lot of the stuff that I already knew about. David, the Lore Lodge has come out and said, "Hey, y'all need to look at this." I mean, he's like I said, most of his stories are fabricated; they're not real. You know what I mean? And that's all it is. And like I said, strange cells, it does sell. I'm
yeah,
fully aware of that.
yeah,
Scary cells,
yeah,
scary cells. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So
Well, but I don't know if you ever watched it, Sasquatch Sunset.
no.
Okay, I
Heard
was
about
so
it, but I haven't seen it yet. I
I
literally
was
had somebody tell me it was the greatest Bigfoot movie they ever saw.
no. Well, it depends on how you want to look at one. I remember it was like a. I was so excited when I first heard about this movie coming out. And they said that the dude that was like the main actor, he went to that one wherever they kept that one gorilla or monkey or whatever, and he said he sat with it for 4 months and studied it to play this
Wow.
role. And I thought, okay, cool. But I thought it was going to be like a serious type. I was like, man, they're finally
Uh,
making a serious type Bigfoot movie, dude. That was rough. That was rough to watch, and not only just the stupidity in it, but it's like here you got these Sasquatch that apparently are just goofballs and don't know how to survive in the woods, and just a bunch of horn dogs, and they're drowning and dying, and I'm just like, dude, what? what? That movie is terrible. Uh,
yeah.
and there's a lot of good Bigfoot movies out there that don't get the attention that they should. They're
I
older, stuff like that,
yeah.
but
My favorite was Exists. I thought Exists was pretty good, but again, it adds
yeah,
fear. But in the end, it comes back to humanity. It really comes back
right.
to
Well,
something nice.
when I
Hold on
started
a second. Let
looking
me
at,
put him down.
yeah, I started watching a bunch and going in and finding a bunch. And they was one, they're big actors. I can't think of their name, but they was young during this time, and it was like she was writing love letters to him and stuff.
No.
And it wasn't that they were in a relationship, but I guess it was more about a story about she knew this Bigfoot was there. They were and somebody was coming in and they were trying to take the territory and stuff like that. But it was like nothing fear based, but it was like basically like a woman knew this thing was there. They had a relationship, not like sexual or anything like that. She would bring it food and she
Right.
would write a journal about it and stuff. And he would come around. And that was a good movie. Like, uh, there's a bunch of them, the Boggy Creek stuff. That was good.
Well,
But
that one, the Boggy Creek, that was my introduction as a kid to Bigfoot. Now I remember the PG film and all that, but um, really my first, that's when the Bigfoot scared me. When I watched Boggy Creek as a kid and as a
right.
child, and
Hmm.
I think the first time I saw it was at a drive-through, or a drive-in theater.
Right.
Scared the crap out of me. It was literally scared the crap out of me. The
Right.
first movie, it was because it's a double feature. The first one was The Devil's Triangle, and then the second was The Boggy Creek Monster, or whatever the movie was called. Um, yeah, that scared the crap out of me. So that kind of stuck with me even to this day. So him doing a book on it, The Folk Monster, which is the Boggy Creek Monster, those of you who don't know. Um, so I'm
Right.
really interested in reading it. If
Well,
I watch the movie now, I'm not so scared. Um, but
well, when I got into that book, it's more about an area. You know what I mean? There's a
right,
section there, not just Falk, but a lot of the places around that going into like East Texas or Northeast Texas or whatever it is, Oklahoma. Like it was a really good. I'm trying to find that one movie that I love. It's a Bigfoot movie, but it's basically like at the beginning of it. there's a deer crossing the water, and this thing reaches up and grabs it or whatever from under the water. But then what it does is a guy, I think, it takes a guy out of a boat, and this guy has like a crazy fear. But then these people come in researching for it or whatever, and they go out and camp. It was just, it was a good movie. There's one about a family inside of a house. There's better
Yeah.
Bigfoot movies out there than what people I think realize.
Yeah, I mean, and you gotta, I mean,
You have to search for them.
it depends on what you're looking for. I mean, because
Right.
99.9% of them are just entertainment.
Yeah.
Most of them want to scare you. They make Bigfoot evil and a monster, and it's gonna kill and attack you and tear your house down. But to have a, I mean, people, like I said, refer to Harry and the Hendersons. You know what
I
I
love,
mean? Yeah, yeah, it's a
regardless.
sweet movie. It's a
Yeah,
sweet movie, and I think they did a good job with Bigfoot. But they humanized him. You know what I mean?
they did.
And
But
but it's entertainment. It's entertainment.
what I like about that movie though is they don't make it a monster. You know what I mean? They
Right.
make it this dude hit an ape that was out in the woods, and it was still alive, and it's just, I don't know. They done a good job with it. Uh,
Well,
I
that's
get it.
like with exists. It started out the same way, where
Right.
it was a bad, it was scary. This thing is out killing people, but
Hmm.
then you realize it's just revenge. But then at the end, there's a level of apology. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Yeah.
So
I'm trying
to
to.
me, it was a good movie. To me, it was a good movie. It was really funny though. After that movie came out, a couple years later, pictures of screenshots of that Bigfoot in that movie were all over the place. People claiming, I just saw Bigfoot. Here's, you know what I mean? They were screenshotting it, and everybody's like, you dumb. That's from exists. You know, it's
Right.
funny where people get their resources.
Well,
Funny where they get
but
their
you,
resources.
the but you go back to like Rudolph and the Red-Nosed Reindeer as a kid growing up. Like you see the abominable snowman, but you don't think nothing about it. Like I never
Right.
connect, but now going back and looking at it, and then going back to the books at the abominable snowman, it's like here's a Christmas tree in Rudolph. It got topped off with a star by a Bigfoot. you know,
Right.
uh, uh, so you know it's entertaining. I wish they would do a better job, and and that's why I'm a big fan of small town monsters and groups like that now
Yeah.
that have these high production videos, and you can get a different view of what social media puts out because everything is scary. And then when you go out with these guys, you're getting basically like a movie and research, but it's proven to you that they're not aggressive,
Right. Right.
and that's why I love some of these groups because I think the scare tactic thing, yeah, it's entertainment and stuff, but it's also you're also putting people in danger of getting shot, you know.
Right.
Uh, so it's like, uh, I don't know. I,
I'm at that point now. If I wouldn't do it because one, I don't hunt anymore. But if I were to get back into deer hunting and today, and I was in my tree stand, 20, 25 feet up, early morning, just chilling, and I saw a Bigfoot come out, I would probably have a very, very serious conversation in my head on pulling that trigger or not. Because what I know now, I mean, I
mm-hmm.
don't want to shoot Bigfoot. Please, nobody get me wrong. I do not want to be that person. I'm not going to shoot Bigfoot. But what I'm saying is, I would have that conversation because I'd be thinking in my head, I could end it all right now. I could end it all right now.
that's when the
Discussion
black
over.
that's when the
You
black
see what I'm
suits.
saying? Yeah. Yeah.
No, no, I agree with you. But that it's so hard for me even now. Like when I'm out in the woods hunting with deer, like obviously I'm looking for deer, and I know, but it's like when I think, because I told you this place that I go to, I swear I think there's a Sasquatch on that, or a skunk ape on that property, just from things that I've seen and smelled and witnessed. And I can't get out there and do my own research with it because it's a leased hunting property, and my buddy has it, and I can go up there, and I try to do as much as I can while I'm there, but it ain't like I can just go up there and do a Bigfoot research thing on it. And
Right.
but I swear I think there's one, and I it would be. I don't think I would aim at it or anything unless it did try to. And I get what you're saying. It would be hard not to, just because you want to be like, you don't want to be that
Right.
guy. I also want to be that guy to say, look, now we have it. Let's find
Well,
out. But like, I don't know
well,
if I
we're
would.
gone 2.5 hours, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
But
the one thing I did want to bring up, remind everybody, is tomorrow I do have Small Towns Monsters is doing a documentary in Florida,
I'm excited
and
for it.
they've asked me to be a part of it. So tomorrow I will head to meet with them for the it's just the interview portion of their documentary.
I ain't gonna lie.
So I'll be
Look,
interviewing with them. Huh?
you don't know. You don't know how. I said I ain't gonna lie. I said you don't know how happy I am for you about that. I'm also a little jealous. No, I am happy.
Well,
No, I'm
I know
happy.
who's all involved, and I'm
Yeah,
very happy with the group that's
yeah,
in Florida that's going to be a part of this.
right.
Some good people. Every one of them but one, which is she is a BFRO person. Um, but all of them but one has been on the show. I've had everybody on the show but her, and her name is Ray or Ray R-E. That's it. Her name is R-E. I have her full name, but
Re,
let me see here.
re,
Let me see.
re.
Oh, she's the only one I did. I mean, I've heard her name. I knew she worked for the BFR. What I'm saying is I don't know her. I've never had a conversation with her or anything like that. I know of her. Um,
Re.
let me find it here. Ree Monteith, or even Ray Monteith, but it's R-E is the first name. Um, she's the only one that I haven't met. But the other ones are going to be there. Great people, fantastic. I think it's a good group that's going to be a part of this. I'm a big fan of Small Town Monsters. I've had Alex Petikoff on the show. Love his work. He really captures the environment, which we
Yeah,
discuss is the environment is the co-star of his show. The Bigfoot's the star, but the environment, the way he captures everything is amazing. There's a couple people out there that do that. Another one is Miguel Ramirez with
yeah. He's getting.
Sasquatch Theory.
Yeah, he's
He does a
getting.
good job catching the environment.
He does. He does a good job with that. But for me, Small Town Monsters was the ones they, in my opinion, changed the game as far as footage and stuff with the Bigfoot world and
Yeah.
the way they capture nature. Uh, Absolutely love them. They seem like super genuine people. I've talked to Alec once or twice. He may not, he probably wouldn't remember me, but regardless, like he's a really nice guy. Uh, I'm excited for you, man. I can't wait to watch it, and I'm glad you get to talk to him and I love the fact that they got you involved because me personally, and I'm not saying this because you picked me as a co-host or anything like that, but knowing you as a person, what I like about you is one, we're similar in beliefs, but you're not out there to fake or hoax
Mm.
or jump into any type of bandwagon or whatever you want to call it. Like you're going to go out there, and if it happens, it happens. If it don't, it don't. And that's what I like about them, and that's kind of how I am. And it's like I don't care if it don't happen. Yeah, I would love it, but at the same time, it's just going to push me to check different areas and stuff. And
Well, I'm like I said, I tell people all the time, I'm a believer that comes in with a level of skepticism, and you have to have it. If
right,
we don't, I'm skeptic of every single person that reaches out to me or emails me or whatever to say, hey, I had a sighting. You're always skeptic right off the bat. You have to
Yep.
read the story, talk to the person, ask specific questions before you can come to any conclusion that there's a truth there. When I'm in the woods and I'm looking at evidence, I'm looking at different things, I'm analyzing it. What other possibility could have done this? You know what I mean? If you're going to be a
Right.
good researcher, a good investigator, you got to have a level of skepticism. You have to. You cannot
Yeah.
go in the field, everything's a Bigfoot. You can't
No.
do that. Everything you find, Bigfoot did it. Bigfoot created this.
Right.
Bigfoot did this.
Right.
You know, I'm tired of seeing pictures of hogs rooting in the ground and somebody saying it's a footprint all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many different things that you have to go in with some skepticism.
Yeah.
And like I said, my saying is, skepticism creates questions, questions create answers, and that's
Yeah.
what I'm here for, is the answers, the truth. And I
Yeah.
spend a lot of time in the woods, used to more than I do now, but I'm getting back into it. A lot of time in
Right.
the woods, a lot of time camping. I do it by myself because I don't want that
Yeah.
influence. I don't want,
It's hard.
especially drama.
It's hard for me too, just because when I get out there, I
Icebox
kind
is being too nice. I'm not paying you any more money to be my friend. What you get is what you get, Icebox.
of well, but I agree with you when you get out with people and because everybody's got their own way of thinking and doing it. So sometimes it's really hard. And uh, but that's why I got into tracking. That's why I got into reading about plants, because I want to try to understand. That way, if I do see something, I can say, nope, that's this. That ain't a Bigfoot. I've studied that. I've seen that. You know what I mean? It's more just knowledge for me to be able to pick through and disprove that that's a Bigfoot. And it's
Yeah.
not to say that I'm trying to prove that they don't exist. I'm just saying that there's a lot of stuff out there that can do the stuff that, you know, that
Yeah.
Bigfoot stuff has to be
I
very
tell
distinct.
people all the time, Mother Nature is a crazy thing.
And that's what I was getting at earlier. And I know I ramble a lot, but what I'm saying is, like, people back in the day when I'm reading this Albert Austin stuff. Uh, right, yeah, perfect. Flat Rock's 100%. And uh, like reading this Albert Austin, people back in those days that lived off the land understood those plant patterns and stuff. And as
Hmm.
a human today, a lot of us have fell away from that. So getting back into that, for me personally, that's what the Bigfoot world has done for me, is me going in and try to learn this to get into
It
that and stuff. And
absolutely, I agree 100%. It is a win-win getting
yeah,
into research because
yeah,
I love nature, I love camping, I love being out in the woods. I just happen to be looking for Bigfoot. That's all. So I put the two together, life is
right,
good. If
a
I don't
hundred
find
percent.
anything, like that day we went out last week,
Yeah,
I don't find
yeah,
anything, still a
great
freaking
day,
great day.
great
Freaking
day,
great
had
day. I got
great day.
exercise, I got to be in the woods, I got to see beautiful things.
We ate some good wings and onion rings,
Yeah.
and but that's me. My wife always says, dude, what's the worst that could happen? I go out there and I find a beautiful place. If nothing happens, I'm still getting to experience a piece of land that I never would have been to. That's beautiful, and
Yep.
I love it. And uh, so I'm excited. I'm excited for you to be on there. What time is that? What time do you do that tomorrow?
3 o'clock's the interview. I don't know when they're putting the documentary together and when it's coming out. That I don't know. Maybe I'll ask them when I'm there tomorrow. But tomorrow at 3, I'll be meeting with them, and I'm gonna go right after church. As soon as I get done with church, I'm gonna drive up and grab some lunch and then head there because it's 40-50 minutes away from me. It's not far at all. It's straight up the same highway that you came up. It's just straight up. So it's
But are
really
all y'all
close.
are y'all all going to be together
I don't
when you
know.
do it?
I don't know if I'm going to see the rest of them. I like seeing them all. I saw them all at the conference except for one, but she'll be
Yeah,
there. But
yeah,
so it'd be good to see her again.
yeah.
So I get to see everybody. Hopefully, there's
I,
a couple that I haven't seen in a while. I really do want to see. So
well, I do think Florida needs more recognition,
yeah,
for because a lot of people when you think it, they think Northwest and Florida,
Right.
Florida spot for them. But I'm excited for you, man. I'm glad you get to do it, and I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, I
Uh,
can't wait to do it, and I can't wait for the documentary to come out because they do such a good job. I just want to see the full final product. So, and I don't know how long, if it takes them a month to edit and do everything, or a week. I don't know. You know what I mean? I do things. I do a quick turnaround on my stuff, but I'm at no level that they're at. So,
well, the came out with that had Hellbent Holler and them on it. Like I remember back last year when they showed up where we was at, and they were fixing to go film with them. So, who knows? It's a privilege being able to do that with them. So,
yeah,
congratulations on that. And
yeah,
honestly,
we're not. I wish we
you're a
were doing
good
some
one.
field work, but we're not. What's that?
Well, but I don't think people realize the knowledge that you have on a lot of this stuff and the people that you know and stuff like that. So, uh, I think they picked a good person, with you, uh, just
Well, I
because.
appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, the people that you've had on and the people that you talk to and the knowledge that you have on it, like you're kind of like that diamond in the rough. You know what I mean? And that's just my opinion, especially for Florida, not just Bigfoot in general, but for somebody to come to and talk to about stuff in Florida, like you, you're you got a bigger brain than your head shows.
Yeah. No, I
Uh,
appreciate it. No, I mean, I'm not perfect. If I'm wrong, I own it. That's the
but
big thing. If I'm wrong,
that's
I
what
own it. You
that's
know.
awesome. That's what you want. And there's a lot of people that won't do that.
Nope, nope, nope. I don't take the easy way. I take the hard way. I believe in hard work, and you know, and like I said, I'm drama free. I stay out of other people's
Yep.
business and stuff like that. But I'm always here for anybody to call and talk to. That conversation stays between me and them, and we talk, and I try to help them figure out whatever issues going on and what they need to do and stuff like that. And I really do like all the researchers in Florida. I just wish they would all
Yeah.
learn to get along with each other. That's all.
That's the thing, man. It's kind of
Icebox
it's a
Icebox said
touchy
I'd never
subject.
Icebox said I'd never call him a diamond.
Give them a little. What's that? A pearl in? Give them. They can be a pearl. Uh,
But no, I look
no,
forward to it. It's really cool. So
yeah, I agree.
I was,
And Florida,
and it was
Florida,
Alex that made that happen. So
that's awesome. Yeah, Florida's touchy. There's a lot of drama in this place. Uh, but that's why we get along because I don't want to be part of anybody's drama. I just
mm,
want to be out in the woods and look for his thing, and I got my opinions about it, and we can talk about it, we can disagree about it, and I don't care, like, and I've said this before, whether I agree with you or not, you may have something that I can pick up on and learn from and use it. You know what I mean? So
mm,
I don't talk to people and just blow them off. Like there's a lot of good qualities in people that I don't believe nothing they say. You know what I mean? But they're hard
right,
workers and they're always out there doing stuff, and you got to give them credit for that. But it don't change my mind on whether I think it's real or not.
right.
Now if
Well,
some
and like yeah, especially this year with all the hoopla going off on this Bigfoot or the Patterson Gimlin documentary where they're
that
debunking or
crazy,
whatever. I tell people all the time, if you based your belief on Bigfoot on just the PG film, then that's
right?
where you messed up in the first place. There
Yeah,
from 1970 or 1967 to present, there's a lot more stuff going on in the Bigfoot world than just
yeah.
the PG film. So,
Well,
um,
when they had me up on the stage for at the conference, and somebody asked that because that was a big, obviously that's a big thing going around right now. Somebody asked in the crowd, they said, "Well, if the Patterson film gets proved to be fake, or is that going to change your opinion?" I'm like, I could care less. I didn't get into this because of the Patterson footage. I didn't see the Patterson footage until I was already into it. So, uh, great footage, fake or not, I think it's real. But you, you're not. I personally don't think there's a way for you to prove to me that that's not real.
Yeah. Not only that is, like I was really, I just, and I've said this publicly, I've said it openly. I just think too much time has been spent on the PG film. You know
It's
what I
yeah,
mean? It's been analyzed by so many different people. Nobody's coming out. I don't care if you're the lazy cowboy or what's the other guy that does the Patterson Gimlin film now? What is his name? I tried to get him on the show, but he didn't want to be on here.
Ron
MK Davis
Federman.
was one.
Well,
His name will come to me. It's not that
well,
important,
you
but
got you
that
got Ron
so at
Mitterman.
least there's three or four out there that do nothing but the PG film, and
Well, he's one of them.
none of them are coming up with anything new than anybody else is coming up with. So I'm like, I've moved on. I'm done with the PG film. I don't want
Yeah,
to hear about it. I don't want to see any more breaking news. I got new. There is nothing new. There is nothing new.
yeah,
See what I'm saying?
yeah.
It's old film. It's done. There's so many other videos that I think need the attention that
Yeah.
PG film. Just leave
Well,
it alone.
when I went
Let's
up
move on.
there, there's a guy that's in the Willow Creek Museum. He was a cop or whatever. He's a great person to talk to. Me and him had chatted once or twice. He was on one of the, I think, Flash of Beauty episodes or whatever. But like he, and I think he volunteers at the Willow Creek Museum. He's awesome. He's got so much knowledge of stuff, and but you wouldn't know about him unless you went in there. Uh,
Right.
but the guy, when I went there, the main people that was, and it just happened, we ended up showing up there on the same day. I didn't know they were there or whatever. I think Ron Litterman and the other guy, he's like in charge of all the movies that go through there. They call him something. He got like a nickname. But anyway, I'm the same with you. I just wanted to go there myself. I wanted to go to Northern California and just see what it was like. And I love the area up there. I'm not a California fan, but I love Northern California. Uh, but the the area was beautiful, but I don't I don't put a lot on that. I don't. I mean, and I'm like you. Whatever comes about it, I don't care. Uh, you know, it's just something that's been dragged through the mud so much that who cares? But I don't know what would be for you personally, besides what you've experienced and stuff like that. What would you say would be the episode or video or book or picture or whatever that really got you like, man, that can be it. You know what I mean? Like, what was that for?
Um,
Take
I have
all
a
the
I have a few things that really solidified things with me a little bit. And looking at the Patterson Gimlin film in itself did not do that for me. But
hmm
Jeff Jeff Meldrum's breakdown of
right.
the video from he starts at the feet, works his all the way up to the head, that solidified it.
Right.
Another one is I'm a big fan of the Freeman footage. I think the
Yeah,
Freeman footage is pretty solid.
I,
I do like it. It resembles. It has the height. It's just. I mean,
I bought
um,
I bought one of his where I think it comes from Cliff's thing or whatever. I'm a big Freeman footage fan too, and I bought one of the replica cast of that print, and just to have, just to see, and but I that one looks real to me.
you know, and then some of my personal favorites, and there's a lot of good thermal out there. I've seen, but the one that I enjoy the most thermal was the one that of the Yowie when those guys were in Australia, and the guy filmed this. It was actually ended up being two of them, and you literally see this thing bend over and pick something up and stand back up. It's a great little documentary. I got to find it. I'll show it to you. But
Yeah, definitely.
um,
I've not seen
it
that
is
one.
really good, and they did a good breakdown. They did their scientific duty
Hmm.
and reenacted it. Everything got measurements. They did a good job. They did a really good
Yeah.
job. I really like that thermal footage. I think that was pretty impressive. And if I wasn't looking for skunk ape, I would be in Australia looking for
Boy.
yowies and thylacines.
You know, now that you bring that up, it is fun. It is kind of wild because there, if you and you know me, I'm a book reader. Uh, if if people see my little library of books, they probably think I was a nerd. But uh, when I got into the Australia stuff, I started going and watching videos and stuff like that. Honestly, in just my opinion, from what I've seen on YouTube and stuff like that, some of the videos from Australia about the Yowie, like the videos that you see of what they think is them,
Mhm.
is way better than some of the stuff that comes out here. And
Oh yeah, absolutely.
and it's not this AI crap. You know what I'm saying? Like at least to me,
Right.
it don't. Uh, I really, and I've not seen the thermal footage of that one that you're talking about, but I have seen multiple videos of people in Australia, like they went out there and took them a loaf of bread or whatever, but you see a shadow of a figure moving. It's not a shadow, but it's a silhouette, uh, a dark figure, and you'll see it move, and it looks as legit as you would think. But there's no setup like they do here. You know what I
Right.
mean? There's no, oh, what was that? All that stuff. It was legit. Like this dude's walking through there and he knows something's in there and he's apparently reacted with it for a little bit and he's taking food to it. But he's doing things like taking his camera and turning it backwards, saying, "Hey, watch, something's gonna move or whatever." But it looks legit. So, uh, I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
Uh, but the only we had, and people can take it for what it's worth. This past spring, Lori Wade, a guy named Matt Hink,
Mhm.
he was camping side by side with me. They went out, and the picture that they got, I'm telling you, like it, I have it on my phone. I think I've sent it to you before. It was what looks like two juveniles, and it was exactly what they explained it had happened. And there's two juveniles in that picture, and one of them's turned facing. It's either facing or it's turned going away, but it's a body, and you see the head, the body, the arms, the legs. It's a very good picture. I mean, and for somebody who don't, he had just got that thermal like 2 days before and hadn't known really. And plus, people can say what they want. It's hard to get a picture of something that happens instantly.
Oh
And,
yeah.
you
Oh
know,
yeah. I've done it where I've had my and you saw I showed you with
yeah,
my with how fast I can get right to film. Fast.
yep,
And it's
yep,
still not fast enough. Still
right,
not fast enough.
yeah. Well,
Um
you take like two.
I've walked up on a buck. I didn't see this buck till I was 10 feet from him. He jumped up and took off, and I
Yeah,
thought to myself, if that was a Bigfoot bedded down, how quickly
yeah,
could I get my phone up to take? I couldn't.
right.
I couldn't.
Well, and you take, and honestly, I quit trying after a while. Uh, I just got more on, and it's not good for content, but I'm not really trying to make content. Uh, it'd be cool if I do get it and ever go that route. But uh, I get caught up into experience, just for myself because no matter what you put online, it's it's up for debate. Somebody's going to say
Yep.
something about it. So it's like, what's the point? So for me, I just kind of take it in, and if I get it, I get it. If I don't, and I still experience it, I'm happy about it. But uh, it's super hard to get. I mean, I get it. Uh, I even showed you when I came out there. I got that pair of glasses that have a camera like in the center of it, so it sees everything I see. But you, unless you're set up like that, even
Yeah, I
then,
was. And then look at the zoom.
Oh,
My
dude,
tell people about the Zoom.
blew me away, man. My buddy, the next day when I got home, or that Monday, I had to pick up my friend, and he's got the same phone. And I thought that he did because when you was talking about buying it and the name of it and the cost and stuff, I remember him telling me about this, and he was talking so much about the camera, and I just, I wasn't running for him to show me, so I just taking it at what it was. But dude, I don't remember the name of the phone that you got, but let me tell you, it's by far the best camera I've seen. As far as like, I mean, you're talking, you would have to buy to get the quality of this thing, one of those Nikons. It's got like the long lens and stuff.
Right.
Your camera, the zoom on it, if you was to ever get around something, it's caught because
Yeah.
it's unbelievable the zoom on this thing. You could be sitting at 100, 150 yards, 200 yards, and he could zoom in on your face, and you look.
Yep. Right. I can look at his eyeballs.
Oh, dude, you could tell if he had, a zit on his face or anything, and it blew my mind.
So, and the point I make with that is, there's no reason, no excuse for a blob squatch photo. See what I'm
No,
saying? If I took a photo and it ended up being a blob squatch or something like that, I just toss it to the side. It's worthless.
I
You know what I
wouldn't
mean?
put it out.
I need
And
that clear shot photo or film. I'm actually a video guy. I don't take a lot of photographs as evidence unless it's footprints and I'm measuring and stuff like that. But I like to film because that's my goal is to catch a skunk ape in motion.
what would you do if he did? Like, I mean,
Oh,
obviously,
dude, if it's good,
yeah. Because I've talked to some
if
people.
it's good,
The guy, the Todd Patrick guy that I went out with in Mayaka, dude. Every 10 feet, you got to stop. And he's a great guy. Like him, had a good time. I'll probably go back out there with him. We hiked a lot. But what I'm saying is, he takes a camera and he's got like a Sony with a 60 zoom, not compared to yours because yours is by far the best I've seen. But what I'm saying is, every 10 feet, he's stopping and taking pictures and stuff, and he's like, oh man, I'm waiting for that money shot. I'm waiting for that money shot. If I got the money shot myself, I don't know what I would do with it. Like obviously I would share it, but like, would you tell where it was at? I mean, what would you do with it?
um, man, if I got that, um, I don't
I
know.
mean, if
It's
it's
one of
got
those
that,
things. If
I
it's
mean,
clear, it's beautiful. It's a good 10-second video.
mm-hmm,
Um, I'd have to sit on it for a moment and think, do I go live podcast
mm-hmm,
and show it to everybody? I mean, I would, if I did it that way, I would call every podcaster I know, every researcher I know, everybody and said, you got to watch the show tonight. You have to watch the show tonight.
right,
And then I would just go public that way on my own platform. Or do I go to Fox News, for example, first and say, hey,
right,
I got to show you this. I need to, because the whole world would see it and everybody would know my name.
right,
Because even regardless of what I film or how good it is or whatever, you're gonna have critics. You're gonna have people
yeah, yeah,
bashing you and stuff like that, and so you got to be prepared for that, which I am. I'm very prepared for
no,
that.
for sure,
I'm trying to help other people have thick skin too. Just it's
right,
you can't fight every battle. You just can't. You know what I
yeah,
mean? You present and move on.
right. Well, and
So
that's
I don't
just
know.
what. Well, that's what I was getting at because like who would in my mind, and you don't have to mention people. I know you enough to know probably the first three people that you would call first. You know what I mean? Uh, but outside of like main news media, I don't know who. I I would probably there's a few that I
Well,
would
I
call.
know a lot of people. So
Well, right. But I'm saying like you got to pick who you think is right. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I might even. What if I did a private podcast, me and you, and I handpick nothing but the top tier people that I know that I want to view this, and we have, because you could do a private podcast where
yeah,
it's
yeah,
only invited people.
right,
It's not open to the general public, and just do a show like that and say, hey, here's what I want to show. You know what I mean?
right, right. Because
I don't know. Like I said, it has to happen first. Let's put it there. It has to
well, I
happen
don't
first,
know.
and I and
Yeah,
I, and I
yeah.
and I look forward to it, and I do try. I do
Well,
try.
well, no, I was thinking to myself, it's like if I, what would I do? Like, obviously, I'm a BFRO person, but honestly, I didn't get into the BFRO to be a BFRO person. Uh, I got into it to get into flats, and so it's not like I hate to say it this way, like I've never met Matt. Uh, if it happens, it happens. Whatever. He has less interest in me, so you know what I'm saying. Like he's not worried about who I am. So it's like I, and I'm not saying it disrespectfully. I'm just saying like I have no affiliation to be like, oh, I'm with the BFRO. Let me hit Matt Moneymaker up and show him this. I wouldn't do that.
Right. Right.
Uh, but there's a few people that I have in my mind that I would say I want this person to be a part of this. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah. I would
and
have like my own private screening.
yeah,
You know.
no, yeah, and I think if it's good enough to go national, why not? Like because it needs to be exposed. Uh, and part of me
Well,
already
it does.
thinks, you know what
It's
I mean?
definitely
Like,
something I'm not going to sit on. It's definitely something that's not going to be somewhere where I'm old and bedridden or I'm dead and somebody finds it and says, "Oh my God, look what he found." It's not going to be like that.
right,
I'm gonna come out with it. I just got to do it right and figure out, you know what I mean?
right,
Because, like I said, the PG film was the very very first film, and
right,
it's 50-50 if you believe it or don't believe it.
right.
Freeman footage, I think, is a very good footage. It's
I do too.
still 50-50 if people believe it or don't believe it.
Right,
So even with, I'm just saying, in today's technology, with how good cameras are, um, there should be
they,
no reason for any blob squatches, blurry squatches, or anything like that. And if and everybody should be having quality stuff. Granted, like Wandering Sarah had mentioned, that's one of the things we mention all the time. We deal with AI, we deal with all these artificial stuff that comes out and stuff like that. And even me, I use AI to for purposes, different purposes, not for proof, but purposes.
right.
Like let me
Yeah,
put
I'll
this up
clear a
here.
picture up with it.
Like I put this
Yeah,
one up every once in a while because
I love that picture, dude.
I yeah, I tell people, is it, do you, when you have a sighting, is it more A, is it more B, is it something in between?
Yeah.
Stuff like this. Like this is one with more hair, one with less hair.
Mm-hmm.
Um I We talk about AI. We talk about people lying and saying, "Oh, I found this photo in my great grandfather's dresser drawer," and there's no way he's lying, and they didn't have AI back then. Well, they do now. Here's a picture that looks really old that I made through AI. Here's one with people in it that looks really real. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Um,
Well, when I
you know,
first started seeing those come out, I was like, man, what is going on? And then I realized, that, the AI thing, because like I'm not a computer person. So when I first started seeing these, I was like, wait a minute, no, there's no
yeah.
way. you know.
So I use AI for certain things just to, prove points or something like that. Um, but yeah, it's filtering when people present AI as evidence. That's where I have a problem. And Sarah hit it right on the nose. That's where it's a problem, is when you present it,
As
this
evident.
photo or this video or this whatever, and it's all AI. You know
Right.
that bothers me.
Yeah.
Because you're a liar and a hoaxer and stuff like that. And I'm going to start calling those people out. I'm just saying,
Well,
if
I,
I'm a nice
I
guy and everything else, but I'm getting really tired of these hoaxers and liars, man. I just, God
Well,
dang, and some of them are so obvious.
well, I seen today that guy who says he has one and he had it spread out on a table. Or I don't know who he is, but
Oh, yeah, that's Peter. Let me explain something about him, okay? He is, listen, and people send me stuff all the time and say, "Oh, look, he's got his head, he's got this, he's got that." Blah, blah. He is a comedian. His day job is a dog trainer. That's what he does. In daytime, he's a dog trainer. He's a comedian. He's been trolling for fun the Bigfoot community for a few years now. That stuff is not new. He's also done some other. You have to really do a deep dive on him. The guy's just, I get his humor. He's just trying to be funny. I
well,
get it. It's all bullcrap because all of a sudden one day he comes out with a Bigfoot penis. Now, why would you save that in your freezer? Ask yourself, why would you save that in the freezer?
yeah. Well, that's funny. Well, I mean, if you look at some of his, like I've only seen one or two, but he's not looking like he's serious. Like the one that I seen today.
He's not serious. He
Spread
talks
out
about
on
having
table.
sex with them and being raped by Bigfoot and stuff. He's done a lot of jokes, guys. He's funny.
That's that's wild.
I,
He
Now, here's another one that's popular. Sonny Vader. Sonny Vader has a lot of videos that it's kind of funny how that camera is at the right
always
spot at the
centered
right
right on
time
him.
every time.
Yeah.
Right there, man. And but here's the funny thing, and I'm going to defend Sonny Vader a little bit, okay? Yeah, all his videos are BS, guys. Sonny Vader,
Sure.
all his videos are BS. They're good. He
It's a
does a
good
good
costume.
job.
Yeah.
He does a good job. But it is fake. There's been some deep dives in the past years ago. It's definitely fake. But
Yeah.
let me tell you something with Sonny Vader is you never see him and you never hear Sonny.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? It's just a video, and that's all
Yeah.
you get. So he's
Yeah.
not
That's-
claiming anything.
Yeah, that's true.
See what I'm saying?
That's
He is
Yeah.
not claiming anything. So
Yeah.
on his defense, he's putting a video out there, and you take it as you wish. You know what I mean? And he's trolling you, and he's laughing because, he might be
Everybody-
making bank off everybody watching his videos. But
Exactly.
he's not claiming anything, and it is entertaining. There is an entertainment portion of Bigfoot, guys.
There is.
There's
Well,
the entertainment side of it.
You go back to the one where, he had the fake camp set up and it's back there throwing logs, everybody was like, ah, but dude,
Mm-hmm.
everything that he does, it's perfectly centered. And it walks by the camera and all this stuff. Always. And,
the Bigfoot comes in and destroys the tent.
right. Remember that? Yeah. And people was like, it has to be a Bigfoot. They couldn't throw a log like that. And I'm like, come on, people. They some light deadwood.
Yeah, the log one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, all of it's fake. But again, I agree with you. He never says anything. He never claims anything. He just puts the video out there. And
I'm quick to criticize his videos and say they're fake. But I'm going to defend the man because I am about being truthful.
I get you.
He's not claimed anything. He's not claimed anything. He just puts a video out there and lets it run.
That's
what I mean?
very-
But somebody who verbally says, God, what is this guy? Something outdoors, country outdoor, something. It'll pop to me. I can. Everything he puts out there is a lie. Everything he puts out there is a lie. Everything. I mean, I could reenact everything without even trying. You know what I mean? I mean, he's making it so obvious that it's not real. Like there's this one where he's in a tree stand at night. Okay.
Right.
And then he shoots. You hear a noise, and he shoots. And then he's tracking this thing, and he's like, I don't know what I shot. I heard so. I don't know what I shot. Right there, I'm like, then why'd you shoot? No hunter who deer hunts or anything like, one, we don't deer hunt at night, but two, we don't shoot anything we can't see.
He sounds like a poacher.
Yeah, yeah. I said, yeah. You
Yeah,
just openly admitted you poached right here on your camera. You know what I mean? It's
right.
all fake. He
Yeah,
does these things,
right.
and he's got this gifting rock, and it's kind of funny. He'll film it. The rock is there's nothing. I'm gonna put this stuff here, and he's showing putting stuff on the gifting rock. He said, all right, well, we'll come back tomorrow and check it out. Oh, dude, it's simple. As I'm walking away, I shut the camera off. I go back. I pick everything back up, put it in my pocket, and then the next day I'm going to film again. It's
Yeah,
that easy to fake that. Oh
yeah,
man, I just came back this morning and it's gone. See what I'm
right.
saying? It's
No, I
gone.
agree with you.
And
You know, I'm with you. Like if you're admitting it and stuff, but if you're just putting a video out there, I'll be honest. Anybody who's brave enough to get in a Bigfoot costume and walk around in the woods, more power to you, because I wouldn't do that. Uh, I feel like you get shot. You're taking a risk of getting shot. Uh, but I mean, it's like if you're doing it and you're just putting a video out there and you're not saying anything, you can't really say nothing bad about the guy about it if you look at it and if you're being honest with each other. But like you said,
right.
if you're saying that it is, then that's different. Uh, but yeah, they. Hey buddy, hey buddy. Oh, you want to get on camera? You want to get on camera? Hmm.
Yeah, I was told my dog he gets upset. He gets upset, and so I was trying to hold him, and
Yeah,
then he got all squirmy. The
mine just
rascal
came.
didn't get his.
My
What
little
got
one.
me, dude? You got me earlier. I didn't mention it, but as you were talking, and your cat was behind you walking, and it scared the crap out of me. And I'm not even there. I was like, "What the hell is that behind him?" And I was
Yeah,
like, "Holy crap!" Go
yeah.
back and watch the video, and you'll see it. You know?
I'll check it out because like she came up here eventually and got on me, and I was like, and then my little one, when you was looking down, my one of my little dogs just came up. Uh, no, you know, I don't, I don't know a lot of the names to these people because I just don't. I got my group that I watch and the groups that I watch and pay attention to, and that's about it. Like I see some of these other ones, and I just don't get into them. Uh, like I enjoy Flash of Beauty. I'm not saying I believe everybody that's on there because they do two sides. Uh,
Right.
I like the Salus Sasquatch. I really like their stuff. I like Small Town Monsters. They're probably my favorite. Hellbent Holler is good, but you know it, what I like about all this is Bigfoot's becoming a bigger thing now, and
Yeah. Well,
it's
it's like I said. There's Mike just jumped in. Hey, the Mike or Christine. Hi to y'all. Um,
oh Mike.
so what we were talking about before you said that? You just made a comment, and then I
Oh,
got
about groups
sidetracked.
that I like the Salus Sasquatch and about how it's getting popular.
Oh yeah, the Bigfoot industry it's a $1 billion industry, but it's not a $1 billion industry as far as research and stuff like that goes. It's
Right.
merchandise and different stuff like that. And unless you got big money, you can do a Bigfoot movie or something like that. They always seem to be pretty popular. Um,
But I think
as
it's
far as researching and stuff like that, there's no money in it at all. You know what I mean?
well, but
Um,
back in the '70s and stuff with the guy I was telling you about, Robert Morgan. There was some good videos back then about similar to what people do now about getting out in the woods and doing research, such as small town monsters and stuff. There was some good videos about that back then, and then it kind of switched, and everybody got like, oh, they're raiding my house and making scary movies about it and stuff like that. And they when you get to that side and everybody starts thinking of Bigfoot and stuff that way, you know, then that becomes a thing for so long. But I think now with technology the way it is and the groups and how YouTube is and how these streams and stuff are, you're getting groups now that are getting out in the woods and you get to see, uh, I guess, just a different side of, you don't get to, it's, I think it's getting to the point where it's starting to push the scary out a lot of it. Not all of it, but
Right.
like, uh, there's so many ways that they could do it that I don't understand why they don't. I mean, I do, but it's like you could still make a good Bigfoot documentary that's true and honest, and get you might not get as many views or many as a scary one, but the ones that you do get, like, I don't know, there's just more respect in being honest with it for me, and I think that
Yeah,
you're
and
starting
I
to
think
get
what's that?
you're you're finally starting to be able to see groups that go out and expose that. Like
Right.
what we were talking about with small town monsters. You don't see something every time you go in the woods, uh,
Right.
and I'm not saying that in a bad way, but I'm saying you're able to expose the lie of every time you go in the woods, something scary or a Bigfoot scary, and it's becoming more popular. There's so
Yeah,
many young
and I
into
think
it.
a lot like with Small Town Monsters. You ever watch the Y Files?
The Y Files. I've watched so much of their
It's a
stuff.
great show. It's a Y Files is great. It's not about Bigfoot. It's a bunch of different stuff. You'll love it.
Mhm.
It's great. But the guy goes into it one direction, laying it all out. Then at the end, he brings in reality and says, "Okay,
Right,
this is the truth." See what I'm saying? Small Town
right,
Monsters does that where they go into it, and then at the end, he does this thing where he explains that, well, let's
right,
look at the big picture here. Let's look at the big
right,
picture, and it
right.
could be this, it could be that, and that's what we're talking about when earlier, when we started the show is, um, and then Flat Rock said it too, is you really got to debunk yourself.
Yeah, you
You know
have
what I
to.
mean? And
And
and to be honest with you, and I've said this story 1,000 times, I'll say it again. That's what brought me and Johnny together as good friends, and doing this together, the podcast and stuff, was when I knew I wanted to get to know Johnny because he had put out some evidence on his channel,
mhm,
um, talked about it and stuff like that. A week later, maybe 2 weeks later, he comes back on live and
mhm.
admits, dude, I went through it again. I went through all my stuff. I analyzed. I don't think it's what I thought it was.
And I
He
love
was
that.
willing to come forward and say, "Yeah, it was." That's the integrity
Yep.
that
That's the word that
we need
needs
to
to be
all
said.
look for. Yeah, because I told him, I hit him up right away. I said, and we ended up talking on the phone and then becoming friends. And then I traveled up there, he traveled down here. But I told him, I said that was the big thing for me was your integrity. That you when you make a mistake, you own it. And we're all going to
Right.
make mistakes.
Oh yeah.
I've done it in the past where I've owned it and said, yep, I was wrong on that. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
And I don't have no problem doing that. Like,
no,
and that's,
and that,
I think,
yeah,
being you gravitated a lot to that just because it's the same thing. Like, I have to make sure, me personally, that, and we've said it before, that Bigfoot should be the last thing that the conclusion is. You know,
right, right. Oh yeah, and I've done it when other researchers come out with me and stuff like that. We try to debunk it. We try to say what else could happen, what else could have made this, what else could have created this, and stuff like that. And that's what makes that's exactly to me. That's what makes it fun. I
right,
get just excited if I could debunk something as much as I can't debunk something. See what
right.
I'm saying? Because it makes me feel smart. I'm like, oh, I figured it out. You know what I mean?
But see,
And
that's why I got into track and sign, because there's so many things that I've been learning. You know what I'm
you got to
saying?
read this. She just put that on her. I love the quote. I might be wrong, but I'm not lying. I love it.
Hey,
I love it.
true though. You know, uh,
Absolutely. You need to come on the Wonder. You need to visit more often because
yeah,
you're
no, it's
good.
100% right there. But it's true though. I mean, you know, like we have to be willing to go in there, and if we see something, great, but be able to look at it from all angles and then
Hmm.
determine. Don't jump into it, and that's just the way I don't try to. I never try to jump into that. Like, you know, I think I sent you the picture when I was up there hunting. You know, there was a print that was more than likely a bear, but it was definitely a print. It probably was a double step of a bear, you know, and it was hard to make out, but it definitely had toes, and it was just unique. But I can't jump in there and say there's a Bigfoot because I didn't, you know what I mean? Because like
Right.
it did make me curious because I think that there's one on there, but it wasn't enough to sell me that it was a Bigfoot. Uh,
Yeah,
it,
it's like me, and everybody who's followed me for a long time, not just on the podcast but on my research channel. Um, I've never once, not once, claimed Bigfoot anything, and I've had some great experiences. I've had some stuff that I'll always cherish and say, wow, that was interesting. That was great. That happened. And sometimes I look at it like it was either two things. It's either I was not alone in the woods the whole time I was out there by myself. There's another person out there watching me the entire time I was out there and
mm-hmm.
decided to come into my camp, or
Right,
it was something else.
right,
See what I'm saying?
yeah,
Um, but I never claim anything because I didn't see it. I didn't,
right,
I just don't know. Like I got vocalizations. I've recorded throughout the years some great vocals. I can
mm-hmm.
say these are great vocals. These are very interesting. I don't know what they are. You
Right,
know what I mean? But I'm
right.
not claiming it's a Bigfoot howl. I'm not going to sit here and say, "Oh, this is Bigfoot." I've never done that one time.
But see, and again, and I know I keep saying it, but that was another reason. There's so many reasons I got into track and sign, not just because I wanted to be a tracker, but oh, she's from the UK. That's a
Yeah,
hey,
now
that's
we
awesome.
that's awesome. Wondering that you're in the UK. I give you thumbs up. Thank you for being up this late and watching us. You got
Yeah,
kudos to you, Sarah. Cute kudos because Sharon, the other one that comes on the show,
take a
she's
bow.
in what? God, where did I say she? I always forget where she's at, but she's over there too. She's not. She's in
Right.
not in the UK, but she's in a European region. So God bless you guys. God
Hey,
bless you
let me
guys.
ask her.
I wish I
How
could
is
change the time of the show specifically for y'all, but
just a quick
what's
question
that?
for her? How big is the Sasquatch thing in the UK right now? Do you all look more towards America or do you look towards Australia? Like, where do you all in UK? Because I know it's starting to get popular and stuff over there. It probably already has been. But where is the main place people in UK look for Sasquatch stuff? Did they look? You know, where do they go? Do they go to Asia? Do they go to America, Canada? Like, if you understand what I'm asking, like when they get
Just
on,
give us the whole lowdown of Bigfoot in the UK.
yeah, like when
Come on, Wandering Sarah.
you
I'll
get on,
put the link in here, and you can come on the show right now if you want to.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
send me a thumbs up if you want to be on the show right now. I will send you the link right now, and you can talk about the UK. Tell us about
Uh,
what y'all think about Bigfoot and stuff like that. I'd love to have that kind of information.
well, and that's kind of what I was getting to. Like somebody in UK, if they're interested in Bigfoot, where do they go to search for it? Do they search for it there? Do they go
Right.
to stuff in America? Do they go to Australia? Like, or is it just all over? Because I know I've read reports, and there's some people that say that there's no Bigfoots in Europe and stuff like that. But I, I have to say that with all the stuff that people have showed, I think why wouldn't they be in Europe? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know much about the UK because,
well,
like I
right,
said, when you think Bigfoot, you don't think the UK, and I
right,
don't know how much force they got there. I don't know how much, um, you know, are they building as quickly as we are here, where land is
right,
disappearing fast?
Hmm.
Is it full force? Is there? I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I said, what for Bigfoot to survive there in a forest in the UK? What type of resources does Bigfoot have? Does it have ample amount of food, and stuff like that, or is he just living off rabbits? You see what I'm saying? Where,
Right.
like I said,
Right.
here, you know,
And that's why I was interested, because it's like, if you're in the UK, obviously I've not heard much about it, but at the same time, when you jump online or something, where do you go to look at stuff? Like, do you say, "Oh man, I'm really interested in the alley," and I do most of my research there? Or that's kind of what I want to figure out, because like I
what she
know,
said, she did respond. She says, "I can't imagine cryptids being able to hide in the UK. Our forests are not that big."
right?
That's a good
Okay,
point. She knows.
well,
You're the
I,
insider there, Sarah. You know more than we do.
I
You're the
watch.
expert.
Well, I watch a guy on YouTube. Yeah, I think his name's called Grizzly Gal or Grizzly something. He's a guy. He takes his dog and he just goes out and camps. And I've heard him talk about stuff in Europe, because he camps a lot out there. And he was saying sort of the same thing. There's not a lot of forests that people go into out there. And
Right.
so I'd like to. It'd be interesting to talk to her and find out, you know, what got her into it, where she goes to find information, stuff like that. Uh,
Hey, let me answer her. She says, I search on YouTube for Sasquatch or Bigfoot and then hit live to find live shows like this.
hey,
Well, let me tell you, Sarah, stop doing that and just subscribe. Just subscribe. Hit that notification bell and you'll see us when we're live.
no, yeah,
But
it's great.
we do a show every other week. We don't inundate people with a show all the time. We do one like every other week. So, and sometimes
No,
we have a guest and stuff like that. We do interviews and stuff. So enjoy.
no, no, it's great to see, somebody up from the other side of the world listening to two people ramble about different theories. uh, uh, but
So maybe this week I'm back over 500. Thank you, Sarah. You're awesome.
uh, but that's interesting though, because like, you know, I used to think, because you see these maps of America at nighttime and it shows all the lights, and usually the east is really ate up with lights, and then the middle's dark, and then the west coast is a little dark, and it's like, why wouldn't they be in the center as much as they are on the east and west? But then I started looking up rain patterns and stuff like that, and so I don't know, man. There's so much that I could.
Well, I think that's why I really think the weather has a lot to do where their populations are because if you look
Mm,
at the Pacific Northwest, it's a rainforest. They get a
right.
lot of rain up in the Pacific Northwest. Look at Florida. We're
Hmm.
third in sightings from
Yep.
Northern California and Washington, Oregon area. We're third. And what do we have? A lot of rain here. We have a lot of
That,
weather. See what I'm
well,
saying? So
and
that
that's what
might play something into it.
and you look at Kentucky and that area of Appalachia. Every spring and every fall there's floods. There's a lot of rain that goes through there. And the guy that I've been trying to think of his name, he's got a great book, uh, but he was talking about that, and it got me interested in that. And it was like, you know, I think on Expedition Bigfoot, when they went to my hometown, I think Marie Mayer, she described as as sort of like, I don't know if you would say subtropical or whatever, but it's like it's really wet, really humid, and a lot of vegetation, and uh, just a lot of ways for them to move and get in and out of places. And it, so I got on Chat GBT, or not, I think Grok, and I typed in, uh, make me a list of weather patterns and migration patterns and all this stuff of what and not just Sasquatch, but animals and more rain and all that stuff. And it showed Florida, Kentucky, that region,
Yeah.
Northwest, and so obviously they're going to be in places where food. That's kind of my theory, and what I'm gonna.
We should
What I'm.
take a road trip.
I want to, dude. I want to so
If I
bad.
could get some time off, which is the most difficult, is getting time off. But man,
There's
because
so
my
many
my
places.
dad's right there in the North Carolina mountains,
Oh yeah, I
and
grew
there's
up.
so many areas up there that we can go hiking and check stuff out.
I don't understand why North Carolina don't have more expeditions and stuff in it. To be honest, I know Kentucky should have more. All them places are great, and there's so many places. When you get over where I grew up uh, in West North Carolina, man, from East Tennessee, West North Carolina, Southwest Virginia, West Virginia, East Kentucky, all that area, man, is absolutely insane. And Florida, going back to like down here, what's getting interesting about Florida is they're doing so much building. They're It's whittling down so much that
Right.
you kind of know where to look just because there's not many places to look. I mean, there is. Don't get me wrong. Florida's huge, and I don't think where I live on the very bottom southeast corner, I have to travel the whole state when I leave. So it's like I hate
Yeah.
driving Florida, and but there's so many places in the center. Everybody lives on the edges, and then
Yep.
they do live in the center, but there's a big section of the and we know which one it is, but uh, Florida, I think Florida definitely needs more recognition. I mean, I know we're third. Don't get me wrong,
Well, I
but
think we would be higher on that. I think due
oh,
to just by population and stuff
I've
like
heard.
that, and our weather, we can be out year round. Where in those states they're not due to the weather. I think we
Well,
should be higher.
I've talked to so many people, that's from up in the northwest and stuff, and they're like, "There's no way there's Sasquatch or skunk apes or whatever in Florida. They're just it's too hot. Where would they live?" And blah 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 blah. And I'm like, dude, they're there.
Yeah,
Like
it's
I
massive.
don't know.
We have massive forests here,
Mm-hmm.
swamplands. We have such an amazing ecosystem here,
Yep.
with a huge population of animals in the state of
Mm-hmm.
Florida.
Yep.
Huge population. I was riding down the road. I'm in Central Florida. Well, I'm considered South Florida, but I consider myself Central Florida. Literally driving down the road, not far from my home, and guess what I saw in a wooded. It's for cattle, but it's forest. The guy never cleared it for cattle. He just lets them roam in the forest.
Mm-hmm.
A flamingo,
Huh, really?
friggin' a flamingo. Yep.
I've never seen one down
So
here, and that's
that's
crazy.
Florida for you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, uh, going back to I'm I it's hard for me to say it's exciting 100%, but you know, my kids were there and we all seen the same thing, and it was in Central Florida, and Florida's pretty wicked, dude. I don't think it gets enough credit for that. I mean, I'm sure it does, but I mean, there's a lot of places that just people can't get to easy, and it's like, why wouldn't something like that be out there? Not saying that that's the only reason I think they're there, but I'm saying that there's a lot of places it's hard to get to that I don't think people understand how hard it is to get to. Uh,
So you're,
it,
I'm sorry,
it'd be like,
you're glitching really bad right now.
oh, my bad. Uh, I think everybody thinks mountain regions and stuff, and I get that 100%. And I agree that they're there, but I think Florida has so much stuff for them to be here and not have to. Yeah, it's hot, but who's to say they ain't set something up for that? You know what I mean? Like to stay out and stuff like that. But it's like they could live down here and survive as long as they wanted to. Besides the building, if the building don't stop, uh, if the building don't stop, we ain't gonna have nothing anyway.
Right.
Uh, but I would be interested in
I can go from my research area and walk multiple counties and never be seen.
right. Well, with me and Michael Noga was talking about that, buddy that's in the Squatch in Florida. We was looking at a map because I took a map of the area that's up there. I had it made, a topographical map, and but if you look at a topograph, you don't even have to look at a topograph. If you look at a satellite map high enough up, there's ways that you can go all the way through Florida and not be seen, and I think that's what they do. I think there's
Yep.
pathways, and it's people's like, it's too popular, dude. If I can look at it and see that there's a way to do it, they can do it. They talk about like you said with the Panthers. There's 200 in the state, but they travel, dude. That number can change on a daily basis. You know what I'm saying? Uh, I know that there's a few on the property that I hunt on. We seen one. It was a young one, but we seen one 2 weeks ago, and same thing. It popped out of the weeds, ran. I didn't have enough time to take a picture of it,
Mm.
uh, but we've got them on trail cameras eating hogs. But it's one of the videos that we got up there, dude. If I can find it and send it to you, it will blow your mind. There's a guy turkey hunting, and all of a sudden it's just wicked screams and hogs and all this stuff, and he's sitting in a blind, a ground blind, and within 15 feet of him, this big old panther is on the back of a hog trying to take it down, and this other panther comes out and attacks that panther, and they're fighting, and this hog gets away and then runs off while and this is like within 15 feet of this guy, and I'm just sitting there thinking, good Lord, that's crazy, dude. And it's a absolutely insane video, but you know, they travel all over the place and barely get seen. So
Yeah,
we
I
know it.
mean, we say. I wish everybody would. I mean, because I get this argument a lot. First of all, when we talk Florida Panther, everybody result just the word panther. People say black. They think Black Panther.
Right.
A Florida Panther is a mountain lion.
Yep.
There's
Right.
no difference.
100%.
They are identical. A Florida Panther is a mountain lion. Florida has mountain lions, even though we don't have mountains. We have Florida Panthers. It's the exact same thing.
Well,
I've had people call me a liar. There's no Panthers in Florida, dude. It is without question. It is scientifically proven. I mean, you can go back forever. There's pictures. There's videos. We see them dead on the side of the road where they get hit by a car. But they're mountain lions, is what they are. So if you're in California, Texas, or any other place that has mountain lions, that's what we have.
people used to correct me so much on that when I came down here because where I'm from, mountain lions. That's what we called them.
Hmm. Yeah.
So anytime I'd talk about them down here and say a mountain lion, they're like, no, it's not a mountain lion. It's a panther. And I'm like,
Yeah, because like you said, I'll have people say, "Well, we have mountain lions up here. We don't have panthers. They don't Panthers don't come this far north." No, you have. They're the same thing, dude. They're the
yeah,
same thing. If you have a Florida Panther that finds his way through Georgia, up to South Carolina, up to North Carolina, he's just traveling.
yep,
Maybe he's taking the Appalachian Trail. I don't know.
right,
It's all of a sudden he's a mountain lion. He's no longer a panther.
right, right,
You know what
exactly,
I mean?
exactly. That's the perfect way to put it because once he gets to Florida, he's a panther, and once he gets up there, he's a mountain lion. Same thing.
Yeah.
You know, the biggest one I've only seen two in my life. Uh, the one, well, three. The one there was one behind my house when I was a kid, but the biggest, I was working in the mines, and this thing we was going down a hill, and it looked like it was about to pounce on something. We didn't know what it was at first, and then all of a sudden it rose up and turned and looked at us. It done one leap it covered the whole road, done one more leap, and it was gone. And it had to go 150 pounds. It was huge.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
they're big. They're big. I just saw a video just recently on one of my feeds where these deer hunters were, bow hunting, and they were walking through the
hmm
forest, and he thought it was a dead deer ahead of him, a down, a deer that somebody shot because it has the same color, that tan color.
yep,
And he's
yep,
like, "It's a deer, and it's not moving. It's got to be dead. Somebody's dead deer." And the other guy's like, "No, I don't think that's a deer." And then so he finally said something, to like, "Hello, kitty." Hey, and it lifted its head up, and it was a full blown panther. You know what I mean? Just
right,
chilling, laying down. You know?
yeah. I mean, they're here, and
Oh yeah,
it's crazy, like you said, when you hear people say that they're not. Uh, but
it's on our
you know,
license plates.
they said, I don't know if you heard it. I seen something the other day where, so I can't remember the name of who's doing it, but I think they're doing it either in the Northwest or they're trying to make it a thing in America, kind of like how Canada does, which I like. Canada has a system on the roads where they have fences that are tall, and then they have roadways where it's crossways where animals can't just run across the road like they do here and get
Mhm.
hit. They have a way to where they can cross over and get to places. And the
We had
thing
that
that
here.
well, the thing that I seen was they're starting to put these certain cameras up to detect, and they're saying that if they can put these cameras up in these areas and never see a Sasquatch cross, then it proves that they don't exist. And I'm just like, man, you know, I get what they're trying to say, but you can't do it that way. I mean,
Yeah.
they're trying to say that if they can funnel all these animals in, which don't get me wrong, I like the setup because I don't like animals running across the road and getting hit all the time. But it is what it is. But by doing that, they're trying to say that if we build this and set up this system and it funnels all these things in this way and this thing don't come through, then hey, how do we know it's
Yeah.
real? And it's
They
they've
have
been
those
smart.
giant concrete culverts that go under the road, so they can cross the highway underneath.
Right. Yep. That's how
Yep.
the things in Canada are, but they have the fences. But it's like, dude, they've been masters of getting away. So it's like they're not going to
Yep.
just go in a little funnel and be like, all right, you made me a roadway, I'm going to take it. Uh, but I feel like if America really wanted to do this, and you have groups out in the woods daily, all the time, looking for, it's like some of the money that they spend on nonsense, if they would put it into this, I don't think it would take long to prove, but they won't, you know.
No. Well,
So
and that's the biggest conundrum. We're all self-funded to do this thing. We're not going to get funding from anybody else. It's not like some rich millionaire is going to call me and say, "Hey, I'm going to fund you for 2 years or whatever to go look for
it'd be
Bigfoot." It's
nice.
just
Don't
not
get
going
me
to
wrong,
happen. It
it'd be
would be
nice,
great.
but it
I
ain't
don't
gonna
have
happen.
sponsors call in and say, "Hey, I want you to look for Bigfoot, but I want you to wear my hat." You know what I mean? It's just
Right,
things like
right.
that. Don't happen. I'd love for it to happen. I'd love to be able to do this and make money and stuff like that. But we're self-funded. That's all it is
Well,
to it.
I've only seen
But
what the guy in Canada. He was a millionaire that done that once. But the thing is, or I think it might have been Alaska. But they spend so much money on stuff. For me personally, I think it's like anything we find, I just have a feeling that they already have it, they know it, and they're just not going to expose it. That's just how I feel. But for me personally, it's just fun, and I like to get out there and do it. And hopefully, I'm like you. Hey, awesome, man. That's great. Uh, E-bikes, I think, would be the great. I mean, me and you talked about that too. I'm going to start using mine when I go hunting, because I took my side by side out there and I just think it's too loud. And
I
I
want a
think,
side by side.
well, They are great to have, but it's like I live so far south that I have, in Kentucky, I could just get on it and take off. Down here, I have to haul it and all
Yep.
that. It's
Yep.
a pain. I think e-bikes will be a big play in it too. But we also said drones was going to be a big thing, and uh, don't get me wrong,
Yeah,
I think
my drone
drones.
has a purpose, and I use it for certain purposes. But it again, it's just a tool. It's not a do all tell all. You know
Well,
what
I
I mean?
know,
It has its
but
limitations.
I'm saying like with all the satellites that are in the sky that film the Earth and all that, if they really wanted to expose this, they could spend money. Uh, no, I agree, man. It'd be great to get sponsored by like a e-bike or just anybody, really. Like you take Miguel from Sasquatch Theory. People donate stuff and all that stuff to him all the time, and that's amazing. I'm thankful for people that do that. And
Yeah.
but but if the government really wanted to solve this, they could. You know what I mean? I just don't think they want to, or they do know and
Right.
won't about it because they spend millions on nonsense every year, and you could take that money and put it into this and solve it. I think very quickly. I don't think they will though. Not probably. It's probably going to be a timing thing. When something chaos gets
Right.
going, look, here's a Bigfoot. you know, uh,
Yep.
but yeah, man. I
Well, we've been
mean,
going almost 4 hours.
yeah, I pushed through because I told you earlier, man. It's been a heck of a week. My aunt died. Uh, I got
Mm.
hacked in with the bank. Somebody's using AI and called in and apparently changed our address and stole our bank cards. And it's been, I've had a week, dude. And
Wow. That
it,
sucks.
I hate a thief, man. And
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I can handle a liar. People I talk to, especially my other officers and stuff in the past, and we talk about it. I can handle a liar. You know what I mean? Because once you know somebody's a liar,
you
okay,
know,
now the ball's in my court. I either believe anything they say in the future or I don't. I
yeah.
make that determination now. I already classified him as a liar. I just got to determine if I'm going to believe him today or not. But a thief, nope, nope, done with it,
Well,
done with it. I
the
learned
way
that
I
lesson really quick and really young.
Oh yeah. Well, the way I used to do it is I'd set stuff up without them knowing, just to see, and it tells you a lot. And but I I build cases on people. If I catch you doing something,
Yeah,
I'm not gonna call you out the first time. I'm gonna build that case for a little while, and then that way I have more. When I say, hey, well, this happened, and uh, yeah, we'll definitely come up there for sure, dude. I need to get up there anyway. But that way, when I say this and you try to rebuttal me, I'm gonna say, well, what about this? And
right.
but a thief, no, 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 no,
Nope,
yeah,
can't deal with a thief.
no,
You know, you're going to steal from me and has no, it to you it's worth a 6 pack of beer, whatever you're going to use that money for, whatever you're when you steal it and sell it, and it was priceless to me, priceless.
yeah,
And
and
in the last couple of years, I have lost things. Somebody has stole from me, and I lost things that were so important to me that I've been holding on to for 35, 40 years. Gone,
man,
gone. You know what I
I
mean? A
yeah,
framed flag from Afghan or from Iraq, um, flown on the 4th of July. You
oh
know what I mean? And
dude,
had it. It's all boxed, framed, everything gone. My shellback certificate from the Navy that I put in a
right,
really nice frame, gone.
yeah,
Challenge coin collection, gone.
I
And
lost.
almost monthly I go to look for something and realize that's gone too. You know what I mean? So
I had, I think when I used to have all kinds of state track medals and all that stuff, and I had so much stuff. And then when I came back from Iraq, I brought a bunch of stuff with me that I had in storage, and I think it was like my parents' storage room, and I didn't know that they quit paying for it to let it go because they were in a bind, and I didn't know nothing about it. And when I went to, hey, I'm gonna go get this out of storage, they were like, oh, we don't have that no more, and I lost absolutely everything I had
Yep.
military, and it's heartbreaking, but
It is.
uh, but it is what it is. Move on, and
That's it. I mean, I can't take it with me when I die, you
yeah.
know. So, but
But yeah, Squatch in Florida. I mean, I'll be up there, and we'll all
yep,
have to.
we'll plan something, and then because I don't know, you'll probably take 75 up.
Oh,
I don't know.
me, yeah,
We'll work something out. Yeah.
yeah. Anytime I go up to that area, I go 75. But yeah, we'll definitely meet
Yeah,
up
you'll
because
take Alligator Alley across and then 75 straight up. Yep.
I need to get up there anyway. I've been trying to. It's just everything that's been going on down here and stuff. I mean, I don't talk about much of my personal life or anything like that. And personally, my family is great, but just a lot of stuff that's, just kept me from getting up there. It's a long drive, and I have to plan it right. And
Well, like I said, this weekend we got together last weekend because
mhm.
we both had free time. This weekend, of course, had this show, and then tomorrow I've got to do that thing with Small Town Monsters, so I'll be with that. But next weekend, starting on Monday, I'm going to try working with that one guy in Sarasota that we had on the show that had the
Oh,
recent sighting, and
yeah, need to
meet up
get
with
with,
him.
yeah, we need to get with
Yeah,
him for sure.
and if
Because
we can do that next weekend or something real soon, I'd love to knock that out.
yeah, I'm
So
excited for that. Yeah, we need to get on that because
yeah,
that's
I'm
going
going to
to be,
reach out to him.
yeah, awesome, dude. Uh,
Anything else before we head off?
no, I think I think every time we get on here, we end up going 4 or 5 hours.
I know. And 2:30 at 2:30, I was reminding you. Well, it's 2:30, Frank, and
No, I
and
know.
then
I
we
was
went
just like,
another hour and a half.
yeah,
So
and honestly, I've been feeling bad, and I was like, I even messaged you, and it's like, I don't think I can go long tonight, and I've tried to push through it, and it's been good, and
just
but
letting
yeah,
everybody know the cure for constipation or anything like that is watching Sasquatch Unredacted.
that's true. Yeah, right. But yeah, man, it's always a pleasure getting with you and talking with you. And I mean, I know tonight we was just, I mean, basically on me too, because you're more structured than I am. I kind of ramble and get going, but no, anytime I get to chat and hang out, it's always fun. And like tonight, the woman from the UK. That'll be an interesting conversation if we can ever make that happen. Because I'd like to learn about that. Like
Right.
I'm not in it to be a know-it-all. I'm in it to learn. So uh, it's always interesting to me. So
Well, I love the subject, and I love being out in the field. It's all good times for me. All right, Frank. Well, have a great rest of your weekend. I will probably call you Sunday night, let you know how the interview went, and let you know how that all went down and who
definitely
was there.
and look back. Just yeah, definitely keep me in the
And
loop. I want to
yeah,
know.
so
Yeah, awesome, brother. Well, everybody, appreciate you watching. Uh, Richard, always a pleasure.
you
So,
got it, buddy. I will talk to you soon.
all right, buddy.
God bless.
Y'all have a God bless.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining the show. Had a great time. Another long one, but it's a discussion. We're just having fun talking Bigfoot. So everybody have a great weekend, and we will see you probably in a couple of weeks because we try to do a show every other weekend. And God bless each and every one of you guys. Stay safe and get out there and get to squatching. We'll talk to you later.